On YouTube as soon as possible. There are openings on several committees. Please refer to the front page on our website for a listing and application. If we could all stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Hoffman, if you could read our community prayer.
Almighty God, humbly we pray your blessing as we concern our life with the opportunity to serve our community. Enhance us with your spirit of dignity and selflessness. May we become instruments of support and understanding as we seek to bring an environment of trust and purpose among all who provide the many services that make us all that we can become. Help us achieve the goals of our commitment in this office that is now our responsibility. And especially, we lift our prayers for all the citizens of our community that we have been allowed to serve, that they may discover the fullness and joy of life that we all seek, and keep those serving in our armed forces and our first responders in our hearts and thoughts. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. I'd like to ask the board for a moment. We got some sad news. Last week, a long-time public servant here in town, Barry Strusky, passed away. Barry was a long-time member of the school committee, more recently served on the finance committee. I think most of us knew him here, one of the most positive people I ever knew. So if we could just spend a moment in memory of him. Thank you. All right, the first item on our agenda this evening is our tax classification hearing. It's a joint meeting with the Board of Assessors. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having us.
We'll turn it over to you.
I'm not used to the new mic. Thank you for having us this evening. I'm Olivia Verhagen, the Director of Assessing. This is Ellen Blanchard, our chair, and then back here we have Peter Sullivan and Mike Paddock, the other two members of our board.
All right, thanks for joining us, everyone.
So I wanted to start with the purpose of the classification hearing. The Select Board must hold this hearing every year to consider the tax rate options available to the town. The Select Board does not set the tax rate. They determine the split, if it will be a single or a split tax rate, and how the levy will be distributed among those class types. So tonight, the board will vote on the residential factor, which is the splitting of the tax rate, the residential exemption, the open space discount, and the small commercial exemption. So
All right, and the current shift right now is 1.4, correct?
yes.
Okay. All right.
So I was going to start tonight with voting on the 3 exemptions first,
Okay.
and then getting into the split. So starting with the residential exemption, adopting a residential exemption increases the residential tax rate. The amount of the tax levy paid by the class would remain the same, but because of the exempted valuation, it would be distributed over less assessed value.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, don't they need
Yes.
a microphone?
They do have a microphone. They have the
Yeah.
small omnidirectional microphone.
Okay, maybe it needs to be a little closer.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'll start over. So a residential exemption, is that better, Sarah?
Yes.
I just want to make sure it works. Okay, thank you. So adopting a residential exemption would increase the residential tax rate. The amount of the tax levy paid by the class would remain the same, but because of the exempted valuation, it would be distributed over less assessed value. This higher rate creates a shift within the class that reduces the taxes paid by the homeowners. With moderately valued properties, those taxes are then paid by owners of rental properties, vacation homes, and higher valued homes.
So your recommendation is not to adopt the residential shift, correct?
Yes, that is the board's recommendation. The town has actually never had the residential exempted as well.
Okay. Are there questions from the board, or if not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to point out, if I'm not mistaken, this is largely for towns that have a lot of rental property?
Yes.
Or seasonal?
Yes.
Residents, okay. Sorry.
Is there a motion you need us to read? We've done that in the past. Will we read the motion, or do you want us to just make a motion not to adopt the residential exemption increase?
So would you like me to go over all 3 exemptions, and then you can make the three motions at the end, or do you want to make them?
Normally, we make them individually.
We can do
That's how
that.
we've done in the past, and normally just a motion to not adopt a residential exemption is appropriate.
It's up there.
Yep.
All right, so I'll move the town not adopt a residential exemption.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you.
So the next would be the open space discount. So adopting an open space discount would lower the open space tax rate because the amount of the levy paid by the class is reduced. Those taxes are shifted to the residential class alone, which means a higher residential tax rate. We do not have any open space or any land classified as open space in town. This is not chapter land. So this is something very, it's different than chapter land. It's not classified as open space. It would be something that the Board of Assessors would need to decide.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
All right.
Thank you. And it also doesn't refer to conservation land either.
No, it does not.
Right.
I'll move the town not adopt an open space discount.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
So the next is the small commercial exemption. Adopting a small commercial exemption increases the commercial and industrial tax rates. The amount of the tax levy paid by these two classes remains the same, but because of the exempted valuation, it would be distributed over a less assessed value. This higher rate would create a shift that reduces the taxes paid by owners of properties occupied by small businesses and shifts them to larger commercial and industrial taxpayers.
Okay. Other questions from the board? And if not, is there a motion?
I move the town not adopt a small commercial exemption.
We have a motion and a second.
Just a question. We haven't ever done this in the past.
We've
correct?
never done any of these in the past.
Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you.
Okay. So moving on to the fun part. The fiscal year 26 levy. So how we get to the levy, the budget is voted on by the registered voters at the annual town meeting. Then we subtract the estimated revenues, which is the motor vehicle excise, fees, licenses, permits, penalties, etc. The remaining amount is the levy. The levy is the revenue the town raises through real and personal property taxes, and the property tax is usually the largest source of revenue in cities and towns. So the tax levy for fiscal year 2026 is $35,948,017. So then this is broken out among the different classes. So these are the valuations by class for fiscal year 2026. That is what the pie chart is. I've thrown 2025 on here just so you would have a reference to last year. Are there any questions?
Could you explain to folks at home what the CIP stands for?
Yes, CIP stands for Commercial, Industrial, Personal Property. And I've broken those out as well as given you the total. So we have 83% residential and we have 17% commercial, industrial, and personal property.
Okay.
Okay. So establishing the tax rate, we take the estimated levy and we divide it by the value of the town, which gives us 0.01511, giving us a rounded single tax rate of $15.11. If we had a single tax rate in town, this is what the average tax bills would look like for the average single-family home, the average commercial business, the average industrial business, and the average personal property account. We have a shift in town. So if we shifted the tax rate for residential and for commercial, this is what it would be. Everyone has a handout of this amount, because I do realize it's very tiny on the screen. And then I've broken out on the next slide what the tax rate impacts would be for the average single-family home, commercial business, industrial, and personal property account based on the shift.
Okay.
We're currently at a 140 shift. So this slide starts at a 140 shift on the bottom and goes up to 135 because last year we went from a 145 to a 140, so I thought you should have the 5% decision, but you have 50 in your handout if you want to make a drastic change.
Yes.
Is there a recommendation from the Board of Assessors?
There is. So the board recommends a 1.38, 138%. That would be dropping 2%.
Which would equal for a residential tax rate of 13.96, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are there questions from the board? And if not, is there a motion?
Yes.
Yeah, please, sure.
Just one time more for the record. Right now, we're at 1.4?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We're at 1.4. The current tax rate is 13.87 for residential and 21.18 for commercial, industrial, personal property.
What was the wording of your motion that you had in the next one?
Well, I think Mr. Carter has a question.
Yeah, I just have a question. I know that we went to the 1.40. One of the reasons was to try to have a slight benefit to commercial businesses, and I wondered if there's any feedback from commercial businesses at all about the change that we made to the 1.40.
Does anyone on the board have anything on that?
Did you want to make?
Could you just introduce yourself for the folks at home, please?
Michael Paddock, Board of Assessors. Yeah, I've spoken with several people who have mentioned to me that that they felt that the shift has not been fair and amounts to quite a surcharge for businesses in town, which was up to 45%, which was pretty significant for small businesses. So yes, I have heard from several on this.
I guess my question was, it came down last year, so it wasn't like we got more interest in the town because the shift slightly changed in favor
It's
of
not
commercial.
likely to be, you know, I've equated to the shift for our town, for our size town and the kind of things we do to junk food, right? It slowly gets you in trouble, and to lower the shift will slowly put you in a better position. There's no magic cure-all that doesn't fix everything, and there's not immediate results, just like some of the results I've seen haven't been immediate in showing up in our town, showing that it might be detrimental for us. We're just, the Board of Assessors feels that it's best for the town if we get our tax shift lower. And we're looking to do this over time, little bits at a time, so that the pain felt would be minimal.
All right, so one last question is, I talked last time at, we've got an influx of funding coming in from the battery storage project. And is there a way to try to mitigate the split by using that amount of funds to try to shift more towards the commercial businesses but not whack the resident with a tax increase? Anyway.
Would you like to answer that? Sure.
Well, the battery storage is a,
I'm sorry, if you could just introduce yourself for the folks at
And
home and
I'm
make sure you
sorry.
speak into the microphone.
Make sure this microphone is
Yeah,
close
a
to
little
you.
closer to you, yeah.
Ellen Blanchard, Chairman of the Board of Assessors. The battery storage is an estimated receipt, a local receipt. So it's not something that we can count on as we would count on what's in the levy. We don't ever know what might transpire because with local receipts, they fluctuate. All of them do. And even though we have several, for example, solar projects that are also local receipts, we can't count on them either. At any point in time, any of those local receipt contracts could change their minds and just shut down. We don't expect that to happen, however. But the Department of Revenue tells us that we cannot depend on any local receipts. So we do not include it in the levy, we do not include it in that respect.
Well, you do have a levy, right? You've got a residential component, you've got a real estate component of the battery storage that's in the
Yes.
levy.
Yes, we do.
So with that component, could that be used to balance? I guess could you, at some point in time, write maybe an opinion letter as to, is it feasibly possible to shift in favor of commercial businesses and alleviate the hit on taxpayers by utilizing that money from the battery storage that's in the levy? I don't need an answer tonight, but I'm just saying if you can think about it.
Well, okay, but yes, there is a value on the land, but of course, and it is not part of the contract, it is in the levy, it's already in the levy. And being the first battery storage parcel in the entire state of this kind is, we kind of have to wait and see, because you never know when a property owner is going to appeal to the appellate tax board. And in which case, most of them are attorneys and they read the law, not how assessors do their job. So, and how we get values. It's often difficult to weigh the two together. So we never know what the appellate tax board might do should that event happen. And we always have to be prepared for that. So it's just something that we have to consider when we're doing this, and it's not easy, especially with it being such an unknown
But isn't that what the
property.
overlay's for? Isn't that what the overlay's for the abatements that go through?
Yes, so we need to make sure that there's enough money in the overlay account for that purpose.
I'm just curious if someone could put something together that says, is something like this even possible? To adjust the shift, but not hit residents with a large piece of the tax levy by using battery storage money. I'm not saying we should or we shouldn't, but is it possible?
Well, there is a contract, a tax agreement between the property, the personal property owner and the town. And I believe that you cannot target a property specifically for a specific use in the budget or for anything else.
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Hewens, then Mr. Ryan.
If I can maybe clarify a little bit, I believe right now we have pilot programs for all of our large solar projects.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
And they are distributed
22
for
of them.
certain purposes throughout our budget, and have been all along. That's my understanding. And I guess the question is, why can't we, the battery storage is also a pilot program now?
Yes.
Yes.
And so it stands to reason that that's what it is. Everybody's agreed on it. It is what it is, and that money could be distributed throughout the budget. I think that may be what Mr. Carter's getting at. I mean, we do have these pilot programs, these payment in lieu of taxes programs.
Yes, we do. We do have the, you want to answer?
And we
think it'd be-
already use them as part of our budgets.
I think I'd like to refer to our finance director to answer that question.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cannon?
I just want to refer to the chair if he wants to call on the finance director.
Sure, yeah, I would appreciate it.
To you, Mr. Chair, thank you. To answer that question, like Ellen was saying, the pilot revenue is part of local receipts, and so it stays as an estimated receipts. If you wanted to reduce the taxes, can't be done, through the split, but you can allocate portion of free cash to reduce the amount that, to reduce the revenue that we would have been taking for taxes. So that's something that the town could do, but that was the way you would have to do it on the warrant, is by allocating a portion of free cash that would help reduce the revenue that we'd be using towards the levy.
Right, yeah, I did not mean that we would be reducing people's taxes with it. That was not, that was not my understanding of the question. So thank you.
Mr. Ryan.
Probably not to belabor, but to Mr. Carter's point, it might be good to look at some options, but one I was thinking about is that we have a tax levy rate or that we tax against, but keep in mind above that there's a debt exclusion we're still paying off, so we're paying principal and interest above that, so we have to charge the taxpayers more to cover that debt exclusion. Hypothetically, could you have taken some of the battery storage funds, paid the principal and interest on that debt, for example, and not have to have then charged the taxpayers the delta amount above that we can exclude? So maybe tonight might not be the way.
Maybe this is.
I may not want to get into
I
it
think
tonight
this is
because there's a
something
lot
that
of stuff
the
tonight,
assessors and the
but
town
I
administrator
think
can have a
to
discussion
Mr.
about.
Carter's point, we should look
and get
at
back.
I'll have a
different
separate meeting,
options.
because I'm not getting my point across.
Is there any further discussion on the residential factor? And if not, is there a motion?
So I'll move the town adopt a residential factor 0.9243 to go along with the residential factor of 138% as recommended by the Board of Assessors.
Is there a second? Okay.
Mr. Chair, so I understand what the Board of Assessors are saying, and I respect you and what you do, and your assessor as well. I think that maybe now's not the time to be doing this. A lot of residents are feeling quite a bit of pain due to certain federal circumstances. Some people are not getting SNAP benefits, which means they're not eating, and even if they were getting them, they're pretty low to start with, and healthcare costs are just about to spike. So I understand what you're getting at. I also feel that there are quite a few businesses here in town that we have, and I'm very proud of them, that have come here despite our tax rate, our split. And they seem to like it here because they've been here many, many years. And these are some substantial businesses that I'm speaking of. So I would vote to stay at 140.
So would you like to make a motion?
Yes, please.
I'll second that.
So are you suggesting a residential factor of 0.9204? Is that your motion?
Yes.
Whatever corresponds to 140, yes.
I believe that's 0.9204. Is that correct?
Yes, you're correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So we have a motion. We have a second. Okay. Any further discussion?
I also agree with Sarah that I agree with the concept, and I think it's a great idea to slowly bring that. This isn't the year to do that.
Okay. Wait, any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank
Anything
you
else
very
this evening? We're good?
We're
All
good.
right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We'll give you folks a second. Thanks for coming in this evening, folks. You all set there, Shelby?
Yes.
All right, the next item on our agenda this evening is citizens' participation. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the board? Seeing none, we will move on to our next item, which is a joint meeting with the Finance Committee, Capital Outlay, and the School Committee to review our revenue forecast. If members of the various committees could come up and take a seat as best you can, and
Sure can. I'm a little welcome. You guys are short on mics. Plug in, yeah. Ask any question you want. Really high level.
You're doing the revenue thing first. I don't know what they're doing. Thank you. I don't know.
I will get out of her way.
I know. If you want to go first. No, you go first. You go
What's on
first.
the agenda?
It says, school committee review revenue forecast.
All right, oh my God, you're right. So leave that there if that's okay.
You don't have to leave. Oh, am I plugging this into mine? Oh, I don't know. I thought you guys did this. Let's practice, because I wasn't planning on doing that.
I don't know yet.
Let me pull it up.
All right, everybody good?
Oh, jeez. I shouldn't even put it up.
They have the handout.
I have wrong numbers. Hold on one second. Can we just start?
All right,
in 1
everybody
minute?
good?
Give me a minute. Give me a minute.
All right. Ms. Chloe, why don't you call your meeting to order, and then the chairman of the Finance Committee and chairman of Capital Outlay can call their meetings to order.
Thank you very much. I call the November 18th, 2025 session of the Carver School Committee to order at 5:57 p.m.
Okay, and we will call the November 18th of the meeting, joint meeting with the Select Board and School Committee and Capital Outlay to order at 6:57.
I'd like to call to order the Carver Capital Outlay Committee at 5:57 p.m.
All right, great. Thank you. And just a couple of things before we begin. First of all, just so we all know, this is meant to be a sort of a high-end executive summary of where we are. This is not meant to be a deep dive into individual budgets. The Finance Committee will be holding those budget hearings later on in the year, and you're all welcome to attend those hearings, and Mr. Mahar may even allow you to ask a couple of questions to get the information you're looking for. But that's not meant to be tonight. Tonight is meant to be a brief overview of what each department is looking for in their goals for the year. And this is a rather long meeting, so if anyone needs a quick 5-minute recess, just let me know, and we'll call it quick recess. Okay? All right. So we'll start off with the with school and capital requests from the school. Who would like to make that present?
Ron Griffin.
Oh, wait, we missed an item.
Oh, we did, I'm sorry, we did miss an item, sorry. Yep. Sorry.
Revenue forecast.
That's all right, our revenue forecast from our finance director. I'm so sorry.
1 second.
Ms. Praval.
Good evening. Thank you for coming through your chair. I'm going to go over the FY27 projected financial revenue for FY27. On the first page, the FY27 projected revenue increased by 5% compared to FY26. This growth represents a steady performance across 3 major revenue sources: tax levy, local receipts, and state aid. And I'll go through each section. The handout you have for the FY25 actuals, there was a typo in the total, and the total is $50,852,154 for the FY25 actuals.
Thank you.
For the tax levy. For FY27, the tax levy is built on a projected new growth of $980,000. This is a preliminary figure because the new growth amounts have not been certified by the Department of Revenue. Once certified, this projection will be updated accordingly. And what you're looking at, the FY27 projection is based off of new growth for FY26, and that's where you see the $980,000. The FY27 projected estimate for new growth of 400 is intentionally conservative This is the first year that we're including the battery storage project, and the final new growth number could increase to around $1 million after the Department of Revenue completes its review. So I'm working with the assessors, but I have a very conservative amount for new growth of $400,000, but this amount will include the portion of the personal property tax for the battery storage. When I have new estimates, I'll be updating this figure.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. The second revenue source is local receipts. Local receipts are projected to increase by 31.5% in FY27. The biggest contributors to this growth are revenue from our solar pilot agreements and a higher projection in investment income. Although the total value of our pilot agreements is roughly $2 million, the FY27 projection is based off of 75% of that amount. The adjustment reflects a conservative approach, recognizing that payments aren't always received consistently and that some companies may encounter financial difficulties. So even with the strong increase, I try to keep the local receipts projections very conservative, and I don't want to inflate the numbers. And the estimates are based on what we can sustainably expect. And, excuse me. There are two other areas that I'd like to highlight in our revenue, and one is in our license and permits. There was a one-time revenue for electrical permits, similar to like an outlier, and this revenue, we received around $1.5 million in electrical permits in FY24, and that was included in the projected revenue for FY25 and 26. And so for FY27, I have not included that number. I've removed it so that the projections are based more on estimates that reflect what we actually receive in a typical year. So that number for the projections for license and permits has been reduced from the 585,975, which was FY26 projection, to 264,875, which is the average of what typically comes in for our license and permits. I also, the other area is the investment income. We usually project very conservative amounts for the investment income. We received $862,000 in FY25. I projected $500. It was more than the estimate that we had in FY25, but it's very conservative. Interest rates are dropping slightly, but as I was mentioning, this is a conservative estimate for our revenue projections. So I have the local receipts going up by the 31.5% for FY27.
Yeah.
It seems like we're out $500,000 from FY25 actuals to FY26 projected. Does that seem too conservative?
Could you repeat your question, please?
So the bottom line for total local receipts, right, is it $4.5 million, and now it's just a little over $4 million for FY26?
That was a projection. In FY25, we received a lot more money in penalties and interest for our taxes, but I wouldn't put that in as an estimate because you never know.
So is this actually a projection, like a forecast, or is this the budget?
No, so the FY25 is the actual money we received. FY26, that budget, we're currently in that budget. This is what was approved as our projected revenue.
So this is the
This is a current budget that we're in right
So
now.
we're looking at budget, not actuals?
Right. So FY26, we're in that current fiscal year. It begins July 1st, 2025, ends June 30th, 2026. And this was the projected revenue that we provided during town meeting to cover our FY26 budget.
Okay, so we don't know what the actual forecast is right now, the first 3 months plus a 9-month projection?
No, we just have the projection for the year. And then as we go throughout the year, I will run revenue reports to see where we fall in terms of our actuals for each quarter.
I'm just wondering if we should call it budget, so we all know we're not looking at a projection, but a budget.
Yes, I can update that.
And when we meet in January to have our quarterly budget review, you'll have more information on where we're at that time, correct?
That's correct. I'll have a report showing what we've received in revenue for the first half of the year, everything that's been posted along with our expenses.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions for local receipts?
And the next revenue source is state aid. State aid, we receive estimated receipts, and we also have estimated charges. I have an increase of 0.3%. As you can see, the estimated receipts, I had an increase of 1%, but the charges were a lot higher last year in FY '26. Between the governance budget and conference committee, the charges went up by more than 4 to 5%. So you're not seeing that large of a change in state aid. A lot of this number is a preliminary draft. The state will provide the Cherry Street numbers usually in February. So this is just a preliminary draft of the estimated revenue, and these numbers will change as we move through the rest of the calendar year.
Okay, great, thank you. Are there questions for Ms. Pradal? Mr. Costa?
Just, this is good information. When you prepare the schedule for the budget, if you could just give like I like to look at a 3-year actual trend analysis before getting into the out years. So if you could add 2 more years to this, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, definitely. I have more detailed information that you receive that will come in your budget binder along with the request for the FY '27 budget, and it'll have more information. It's hard to put it all on one screen to see, but you'll have a list going back 3 years for every category for your fees, license permits, and everything that we collect.
Anything else? Mr. Cannon, do you have anything you want to
No,
add?
sir, I do not.
All right. Anything else, Ms. Pradal? Is that,
No, that's
everybody's good?
all we have.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Now we'll move on to the school and their capital requests.
Okay. Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you all for having us. In a few minutes, we'll just take a look at the capital planning for the Carver Elementary School before we start.
Yeah, if you could just introduce yourself for the folks at home.
Sure. My name is Ron Griffin. I'm the business manager with the school department.
And I'm Scott Neef, superintendent of the Carver Public Schools.
All right, thanks very much.
So in a moment, we'll go through the capital plan for the school department. You'll see a 10-year capital plan along with the drill down for FY '27. Before we start, just want to thank all of the folks here in this room and our community for all the support you've provided the school department over the years. We know that a lot of the capital planning ultimately is something that an entire community comes together to support. We've been very fortunate to have an incredible community support the school department, and thank you for that. This presentation was just reviewed by our school committee again last night. The whole document will be available for the group as well. You have copies there. So I'll go relatively quickly to be considerate of your time. But if at any moment you want me to stop, do some drill down, you've got some questions about something, just flag me and I'm happy to take a moment and do a deeper dive. At a high level, your school department's capital plan is broken into 3 groups: facilities and equipment, transportation, and technology. All the work that we do when we think about our capital planning is focused on looking ahead to the big needs of our community and tying that ultimately to the district's vision, strategic plan, educational blueprint. You have a link to the educational blueprint there. We also recognize that when we think about capital planning, we want to acknowledge that there's always limited resources. I live just up the road in a small town as well that has lots of needs, similar to Carver, with limited resources. And so in the school department, we're always trying to find ways to offset some of those costs with things like grants, creative solutions where we can partner with other organizations, or ways to find the most efficient use of our resources to get the best bang for our dollar. You see there in the overview that each year the school department writes about $1.3 million in grants that combines both capital and operating offsets in an effort to try to offset the costs to the local community. Your executive summary of your facilities are there. Again, I won't go over it with you. You can take a look, but it gives you a little understanding of different facilities you have in your schools, the middle, high school, elementary, transportation, administrative buildings. One of the things that I want to highlight there on this page for you is that a lot of the work that we've done, especially recently, has been focused on the innovation pathways advancements over at the Carver Middle High School in particular. We feel really proud that Carver as a community has been leading this charge in the Commonwealth and has sort of been on the vanguard of helping the rest of the state think about how we educate students for the 21st and 22nd century. And a lot of the capital investments you see, especially at the middle high school, you'll see is focused on trying to find ways to connect kids to the jobs that no one else has thought of yet. 10-year overview of your facilities and equipment is there for you. We'll spend some time in FY27, but the goal here is really just to flag some of the things that we anticipate to be needs in your school department when it comes to facilities and equipment in the next decade. Drilling down to FY27, your first facilities and equipment proposal is part of what we're calling the Middle High School Classroom Modernization and Pathways Plan. It's a multi-year vision with the goal of ultimately extending the useful life of the facility you have in the middle high school. We recognize that the kiddos over in our elementary school and kindergarten will eventually be graduating out of that building, and so our goal, while it's got great bones, is to try to find ways to improve and modernize the interior of that facility. Each year we identify one program or one department to help modernize. This current year we have the middle high school history program, getting new furniture in those history classes, updating some of the original furniture that came with the building. Next year's proposal is world language, along with a refinish of the stage in the auditorium.
And the only thing I'd add to that, and I think I've said this for the last several years, but it still remains true, is we've talked about in terms of the facility at the middle high school, that the reality is, I think, within the community is that building has to serve at least another generation of students. So I do think that our students entering kindergarten are going to go through that school. And we appreciate the investment the town has made in terms of this classroom modernization. So when this cycle is done in a couple of years, in essence, we're going to have refreshed the entire inside of the building. And so we appreciate the support that the community has given to that. But I wanted to put that reminder out there of, there's another generation of students who need to go through that building, and it's a really important project.
Absolutely. The next proposal is part of our athletics program. You'll start to hear a theme, especially at the middle high school, right? Building has good bones, interior needs some modernization. That's certainly true in the athletics program, certainly true in the weight room. That space has had lots of different uses over the years. The equipment that we have there is a lot of secondhand equipment. Some of it is in more difficult shape. The goal here is to give that program new equipment for our athletics programs. So what you see here is a renovation of the interior of the space, but not touching the bones, not touching the walls. Yeah. The next proposal is for our combination central office and special education sub-separate alternative program. If you've been down to 3 Carver Square Boulevard, that's a picture of our front there. It houses the large majority of your central office staff, along with one of our specialized programs for students with severe disabilities that need a sub-separate space outside of the existing buildings. This proposal would be to refinish the outside, the exterior envelope there, take down some of that clapboard there and have it replaced with vinyl. The next project pivots to our elementary school. Back behind our elementary school, right where our bus lane is, there was an existing space there that the original architects had designed to be a natural play space. It's a wonderful space where a lot of our kiddos use regularly, to the point where the berm had really just been torn up because you have a lot of kiddos running on grass. The grass simply can't grow. So we took a 2-phase approach here. This current year, we moved the berm back. We're able to save quite a bit of funding, actually, with many thanks to Dave Siedentoff, John Woods, and our operations team in-house. We're able to help move that berm back and save the taxpayers quite a bit of money. That expands the space, And the proposal this year will be to include some additional swings and some other play structures for students. If you've been in our elementary school, during recess, you will see quite a queue at the swings. And so it gives our kiddos some more opportunities for play space, allows us to better utilize the footprint that we have at that facility. This next project is really just informational. We're proposing no additional funding in phase 2 for this project. I'll give you just a quick summary to be considerate of your time. You see there an overhead view of your elementary school. Encircled between what is essentially that E shape you have there are 2 inset courtyards. Those get high rotation for our kiddos as well. The grass that's there simply doesn't hold up, becomes a dust bowl and or mud bowl this time of year. And so we've been trying to find ways to better utilize that space. We've done all the usual reseeding, trying to keep kiddos off it. You can either grow grass or you can have kiddos on it. You can't do both things. And so our original proposal was to take that space, utilize it with some artificial fill, artificial turf with natural fill. They have a cork fill versus a rubber fill, if you've been to some of these fields. Anyway, as part of the process and due diligence in the project that was going to be over 2 years, we actually came across a new material that I certainly didn't have experience with, but I think may be interesting for us to try. Our proposal here is to not ask for any money, use the existing funding to do just a pilot of that material and see if it works more effectively and can ultimately be a cheaper proposal for our school district and our taxpayers. 30 more seconds on it if you're really interested. I have a sample in my office. It's this rubberized perforated matting that is put down, allows seed and grass to grow up through it, but that way you can't damage the root system of the grass. Some communities have tried to use it with success. I have no experience with it, so we're going to try a small section this summer. If it's working, we'll see you in 28 and ask to try to finish it. If not, we'll continue with our proposal to move forward with artificial space. If it does work, it would save us some money and ultimately be an easier install in the end. The last proposal is simply educational mobility equipment for some severely disabled students who are new to our school district. You'll see my proposals always have lots of detail in it. This one in particular is a little bit more broad. That's intentional. There's only a couple of students that require this, and so I try to balance the need to be very transparent with our community and what we're using the funding for, while respecting the privacy of those couple of kiddos that need this significant equipment. It allows them to have access to the bathrooms, to emergency services, to those sorts of things. We have some of that equipment already. These kiddos are simply not the right size for the equipment that we have. They don't match the equipment we have. We would expect that this every couple of years may need to be refreshed in order to ensure that these students can go through our elementary school and have access to all the facilities. Changing.
Take a break?
Yep. Do you want to take a break, ask questions on that? Do you want to keep going?
Are there any questions on what we've heard?
Can I ask one question?
Please.
I'm just curious on the last one, the educational blueprint. Do we usually buy this type of a DME, or this isn't funded through insurance companies?
Did you say education? Oh, you mean the accessibility?
Yeah, the special education mobility equipment.
It's not currently funded through the insurance company. It's something we could certainly explore further with the families, but initial proposal has been that it's not covered. And I'm not an insurance expert, so I don't pretend to know all the ins and outs, but it's certainly something we can explore further. The initial conversation was it wasn't, and we wanted to give these kiddos all of that access. Do you have some context for it? That could maybe
to me, it looks like more of a medical, like durable medical equipment, a DME, and something that sometimes Medicaid, Mass Health kicks in and funds for.
I haven't reached out to Medicaid, but maybe I'd be happy to do that on our behalf, and if we can save the money here and still get the kiddo what they need, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. Okay,
I'll take that as an action step. Thank you for that.
I'm just wondering, normally you see an insurance company like that kick in.
Yeah. The initial conversation with the families was that wasn't something that was within the scope of what because they have some equipment already. This wasn't part of that, but I haven't called Medicaid and can. Thank you for that.
They go through a company called Byron.
Could I contact you after the meeting and I'll maybe get a couple in contacts?
Thank you.
That would be wonderful.
Yep.
Other questions, facilities, equipment?
Anyone?
Brilliant. The next component of the capital plan, transportation. There you've got your executive summary, 10-year outlook for your transportation program. I'll give you just a couple of seconds on this, but certainly ask further questions if you've got them. Just a reminder, Carver owns and operates its own program here locally. Typically, that gives you a couple of advantages. One, gives you sort of consistency of expectation of service. And two, that's typically a cheaper product ultimately for your taxpayer. When I think about some of our colleagues in other districts who are going out to contract, those contracts are increasing by double digits sort of across the board there. We think that this product, this service, is ultimately a cheaper means to provide the same transportation for our kiddos. We only have one request for transportation. It's simply part of our bus cycle. This would be one 71-passenger bus. If approved, that would replace one of our oldest buses in our cycle, which is typically how we've operated for a few decades now. Answer any questions, please.
Mr. Chair. Sure. Just to add one more thing about transportation is when you own your own transportation, you're also hiring your own drivers. And you know them. And they're the same ones that come in day after day after day. Most of them are probably Carver residents. And in this day and age, to know who your drivers are going to be, I think is very important.
Agreed, sir. Thank you.
That's a great point.
Yeah. And I'd agree, most of the folks who drive for us live in and around Carver. Yeah. Okay. Last but certainly not least, technology. While maybe not as exciting as some of the things, certainly in today's educational landscape, technology is playing a more and more prominent role. And we have 3 projects that we'll share with you today. The first is Chromebook devices. I'll give you a little context for this one as well. Gosh, a few years ago now, the federal government put some resources in most schools' hands to provide Chromebooks for students in response to the pandemic, certainly in virtual learning and home learning and all of that. Carver was fortunate to be able to take advantage of those federal funds and was able to refresh the entire device fleet for all of our kiddos. Very fortunate to have those resources. Those devices are coming to end of life. And so what you see here is a restart, a refresh of that set of equipment. The goal here would be over the next couple of years to be able to refresh those pieces of equipment before they get to end of life and stop working. A lot of our programs, a lot of our departments now are using either a combination of on-computer apps or web-based products and programs where students are interacting on their computer. And so to ensure they've got a computer that's effective, that's working, that's able to stay up with some of the specifications for some of the newest software is a big part of our program. Longer term, as you look out ahead in our 10-year plan for technology, our goal will be to split that out into smaller increments. Right now, what you're seeing in these 3 chunks is a couple of grade levels apiece. Over the next couple of years, we'll go to 1 grade level at a time. It'll decrease the overall investment and allow implementation to go a little bit easier as well. The next proposal is for staff devices. This is just phase 2 of 2 phases over at the middle high school. The theme is very similar. 21st and 22nd century education is focused heavily on technology, and so because of that, we have to have our computers be up to the spec for a lot of the applications that our staff and our students are using, both online and on the computer themselves. The last project, while probably the least interesting for the non-tech folks, is probably one of the most important as well. This would be a 2-phase project that would ultimately replace our network switches and access points. You've got a link there. I asked our tech department to put together a link that just walks you through like what network switches are and wireless access points are as well. The long and short, though, is simply this is going to be the backbone of your system. And so all of the data that comes into your computer, your device, goes first through your network, gets filtered, certainly, security, obviously, but then is pushed out to all of your devices there as well. So again, as all of the technology continues to advance, we want to make sure that our network is able to handle that volume and handle it in a way that keeps our student data and our school department and community data safe. First set of the year, we would do, FY27, we would do the network switches, followed by the wireless access points. One last thing I would just share with you about this. The request that you see there is only half of the cost in FY27. We're expecting that we'll be able to use what's called Category 2 E-rate. Essentially, it's a federal program that allows school departments, school districts in states to request funding for just this sort of project, right? So this is one of those things we talked about, ways to offset the local cost for this. We expect that we get it. This is right within the allowable costs of those programs. I do want to just quickly say, E-rate has sort of been in the crosshairs of some federal conversations about reductions in program and removal of the program. So I want to be transparent with you that that has been part of sort of a dialogue at the federal level. What I've heard to this point so far is that the program, this category of the program would remain at least in FY27. So that would be our proposal. Ultimately, if federal E-rate is impacted or removed, we'd want to come back and request the community cover the amount of this. This is like essential technological infrastructure stuff. Gosh, I know that was quick, but I'll end with just, you have the full summary there, 10 years plus the FY27. I tried to stay to our time limit, but I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Are there any questions for the school folks? Mr. Carter.
Sure, I just, as we get closer to the budget season and capital outlay reviews these items, are you going to put together, I think you've done in prior years, the ones you want most from a level of importance?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm just looking at funding with $823,000
Yeah,
and
we realize that that's a large request that may not, the capital A may not be able to meet. But we certainly would be able to prioritize that, and certainly willing to work with the town and all the other town departments to make the best decision for the community of Carver.
very good. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to say for the federal E-rate funding, I was glad to hear that you have considered the possibility of our federal government failing us and not receiving that funding. You said we would have to reconsider and come back.
This would be an essential project for us for sure,
Yeah.
and yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Cannon, do you have anything to add?
No, thank you.
All right. Thanks very much,
Thank you
folks.
very much.
Folks.
Appreciate
Appreciate
it.
Do you have anything for us, Mr. Chair?
You are welcome to stay if you like, or you can adjourn your meeting if you like. What?
Thank you very much. I would make a motion to close this meeting of the general meeting of the school committee. I have a motion and a second. Why don't we just to cover our bases, we'll do a roll call vote. So Stephanie Clarity, aye. Kelly Lee, aye. Katie Sullivan, aye. Kathy Lake, aye. Okay, our meeting is adjourned at 6:27 p.m. I just want to say thank you very much to everyone for your time, for all the work that you put in. I know how hard all of you work. I appreciate your dedication to our community, and look forward to seeing where we end up with the budget with everyone. So
All right.
thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming in this evening. All right, next this evening is our Police and Animal Control Department. Welcome, folks. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Can you just introduce yourself for the folks at home?
Certainly, I'm Mark Ruffley with the Carver Police Department.
And Matthew Rayner with the Carver Police Department.
Thank you.
So before I start, I'll say this is obviously my last time I'll be presenting to this group, and I want to recognize everybody and appreciate all the support over the years. I think that when I started this in 2013, we talked about making sure we spent your money wisely and gave you good police work. I'm very confident we did, and I couldn't have done that without everybody's help. So thank you very much. Next year it'll be Matt Rayner's turn to do this, and I'm sure he'll do far better than I have. So I was told we was going to do high-level talks about this. So before I start, are there any questions that you want me to focus on?
Anyone have anything?
So,
Nope.
all right, not, with that said, I'll start briefly with the operating budget for the year. There are some increases. We're told to keep everything level service. Obviously, contractual increases are going to be about 4%, based on the fact that we did a 2% raise in the contracts, and then some offices are moving up to different levels, different steps within the contract, and some have attained different levels of educational incentive. So all in, it's going to come up to be a 4% increase on both police officers and dispatchers. Our clerical salaries are the non-union wage scales, so that's already built into the budget. And over time, we've kept it the same number we had for last year. We are working with Ms. Praval on a plan that shows the past 6 years worth of overtime, so we can get a better idea and better handle to turn over to Chief Rayner when he takes over, so we can forecast that a little bit better. But for now, we're going to keep the same number we have as last year, and that should get us through the year. Operationally, we're looking for only out of the whole budget, about a $13,450 increase, which is about 5%, and that's based on price of pots going up for cruises, the subscriptions for our records management system going up by about 5%, the normal increases that come with the budget. Obviously, we'll have more detail on that when we present to the Finance Committee at the budget hearing. But that's there are our normal increases for salaries and operations. They're staying within, like I said, 4% on salaries and about 5% operational. Any questions on that?
Questions from anyone? Anyone? Okay.
Excellent. So capital, we have 2 items that are part of our 10-year capital plan, and then several items that have come up over the year that are not, that we've had to add in. All in, we'd be requesting $257,000 in capital increases. And I will break those down. There's cruises, a UTV, and some equipment that we need in the station. And I'll go through those one by one just to give everybody an overview of what that is. As we know, we'll start with the cruises. The most expensive part of it is our cruiser plan, which we maintain every year. Last year, we replaced 3 cruisers and an animal control vehicle. This year, we would like to be able to replace 2 cruisers to stay on track. But again, as we've used in the past, in previous years, if we have to, we can reduce that number. The number we have for that right now, cruises keep going up, is $150,000 for 2 cruises. That's new cruises with the equipment in them. But again, as I said before, the good part about our program is, depending on where we are capital-wise, we can reduce by 1 if we had to. In addition, in our 10-year plan, we have a $50,000 to purchase a UTV. We had pushed that out last year, and this year, based on the work we did at the new location for the King Richard's Fair, we definitely would like to put this forward as a vehicle that could move police officers around that site at least a lot quicker. In addition, we would outfit this. We've talked with Chief Ryan through EMS, outfit it with a Stokes basket so that we could, if we had to, move a patient in and out of there. The new location is much more spread out than the old location, so I think it's a good use of town funds to purchase this. We can keep all the equipment we need on board of it. Where we are in the fair now, where our cruisers are parked compared to where our officers are deployed, to get to a cruiser to get equipment is going to be quite a run to get back. So I think this would give us something that we could move throughout the fair as needed.
Can I just ask you there, were there any challenges this year at the fair where that came into play, where it was an issue or a problem?
I don't think it was an issue or a problem, but I think we realized that it certainly will make it more efficient to have something of this size to be able to do that with. I'll leave that to Chief Ryan when he gets up here, but a couple of times we had to bring the ambulance into the fair to get patients out. So I think having this piece of equipment would help to increase that, because we're on scene before the ambulance gets there, so if we can get to them and help to load them out to where they need to be, I think that'll help out. In addition, the defibrillator and some of our other equipment could be mounted into this device and have it much closer to where it needed to be deployed. We don't really like to talk too much about these things, but obviously if there was some type of an active shooter event that happened there, we would having officers running back to their cruisers to get the equipment they need is not what we want to be doing. So this would provide us an ability to have that inside the fair.
Thank you.
So that's $50,000 of the $257 I was talking about. And those 2 items were already on our 10-year capital plan. The remainder of these items are not, and they've come up in enough time to put them in play and see if we can get these moved on. The first is called the live scan fingerprint device. So in our station, back in the day, used to use ink and fingerprints for bad guys. Now we use a scanner and a computer that does that. When we moved to the new station, we purchased a separate one for licensed carry firearms, and the one we have that's in the booking room, we moved from the old station. That has come end of life, and there was talk that the state government was going to buy us new ones, and that's not happening. So we've got to put some money in the budget to try to have this, because it is at end of life. It's working right now, but as soon as it stops working, we're done with it. So the cost to replace that is $30,000. So we put it up as a capital expense right now. If that changes, if for some reason the state comes up with some money for this, we'll be happy to withdraw it and use their money. But right now, just for a planning purpose, we need to move this forward. We really can't go back to inked fingerprints. It's not, that technology doesn't work anymore in this day and age. We have to be able to input people's fingerprints into the system when we take them into custody. That checks, the federal government checks all around to make sure they're not wanted somewhere else. And it's just part of the way we run a modern police department. Any questions on that? The next thing we found that didn't work this summer was the boat, the engine on the police boat. We have the boat, was purchased in 2000. We've nursed it along for 25 years, and the boat itself is still sound, but the power plant is no longer and is at end of life. It needs to be replaced. The cost to do that would be the cost of the engine and cost to install it, and that total comes to about $17,000. So we've put that in here as well as for part of the capital discussion. It is an important part of Sampson's Pond. We couldn't we deployed the boat this summer because of this. We've deployed it a couple of times and had issues with it. I know the residents on the pond and the people at the beach certainly rely on having the police boat out there because it curtails the jet skiers and some of the people from out of town who come in and make problems. But again, this is just, we just learned that this summer that the engine would need to be replaced, so that's why it's on the capital. And the final one is replacing the batteries in our stationary battery system that's in the IT room in the station. The station was built in 2021. We were told the batteries last 10 years. I don't know if those batteries are sitting somewhere for 5 years, but they're already telling us they need to be replaced. So that's $10,000. It may be a little less. I know $10,000 is the limit for capital expenses, but I just want to put it in here because it may go.
It's actually 20.
10?
20.
20?
Yeah, we changed it like a couple years ago.
20 what?
$20,000 is the.
Okay. So then we can pull this one off and just but I'll stick that back in operations then. Okay, that's fine. My mistake. Well then, it's not 257, it's 247 for capital. And that's all I have.
All right, are there questions for the department? Anyone?
If I could, Mr. Chair, just, Chief, I'm sorry, I'm working. The cruisers, what are we purchasing? Are they small SUVs? Cruisers?
Yes, Ford SUVs, yes.
Just, thank you.
Can I ask a question? Last year, I think we purchased a truck. How did that work out?
So it was a used van for animal control, and it worked out very well. If you take a look at it, we actually got a very good deal on it, and it's equipped with everything they need now. It's a lot lower to try to get animals into it if we need to, so it worked out very well. Thank you. It was a good idea. And we've done that, like I said, over the years. We've bought used vehicles numerous times to try to stay within budget. We replaced all the deputy chief, the admin sergeant, the 2 detectives with used vehicles along the way. We've got good values out of that, so it worked out very well.
Great. Anyone else?
There's got to be some questions. Come on.
Well, I do have one.
My last one. Sure.
Is the school resource officer position, that's in the police budget? Because I know
yes.
at one point it was a shared cost or whatnot, but I think last year it was in the police budget. This year it is too?
Yes, the school resource officer is in there. The shared cost that we had was a line item we had for school security. If we remember, the discussion was we have one school resource officer who splits his time between 2 campuses. So we have a line item that was, I don't know if it still is, but it was a split between school and town to cover putting another officer in the school that can flip-flop so that we have somebody at least some of the time. Both campuses have somebody in there. And that's the shared cost I think you were talking about. And that is still in the budget.
Mr. Chair. Real quick, I didn't hear anything about animal control.
So they're in our normal, the salaries are increased by the normal non-union wage and personnel, and their expenses, we didn't have to increase this year at all because we didn't use the money that we had for last year, so.
Did they have a vehicle or?
Yes, we do. Last year, that was what, that's just asking me. Last year, we purchased a used van. We got the money to purchase a used van. We completed that project this year. It has decals on it. It's a modern animal control van that's much easier for them to get animals into and out of. It has all the supplies they needed inside of it. Instead of being in a used police SUV, it's a van they can actually stand up in. So it's very good. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And just on behalf of the board, it's always been a pleasure dealing with you the entire time.
Thank you.
I've been here, and I think you have. I think the department spends the town's money very wisely.
Well, thank you
very much. We appreciate that. And listen, you can always come back. Okay? And And just for Sergeant Rayner, don't think these meetings are always going to be this easy.
Oh,
okay?
I'm not
Usually there's a lot
expecting
more
that,
questions coming. So.
I hear there's an opening on a special police officer.
Yes, I do intend to ask you to make me one at some point, so thank you.
All right, is there anything else for the police department?
Thank you.
All right.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for your time, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, next this evening is our fire department. Welcome, folks. Appreciate you coming in this evening.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to take a page of the police chief's book there, but instead of me presenting, obviously I've delegated it to Deputy Jermaine, so he can do a much better job than me. Anyway, so no pressure.
I'll leave that one there.
All right.
It was good. All right, good evening. Obviously, the chief has asked me to speak on his behalf tonight, and we appreciate the opportunity to sit in front of the boards
If you
and
could
discuss.
just introduce yourself for the folks at home.
Sure. Chief Craig Weston, Deputy Chief Eric Germain. And again, we appreciate the opportunity to sit with you folks tonight. Understanding, the groups and all of the committees and boards that make this work tonight, being part of that, and then the taxpayers and the support from all of you and our tax base for the fire department enables us to do what we do. And so we just want to thank you all for that. Real quickly, our department is running at a very high level as we expect it to. What you folks do enable us to do our job. And just a quick update, we have a new dispatcher who started recently, and she is doing a fantastic job. We have our run times and our manpower stats rival, if not exceed, our full-time career neighbors, and we're obviously very proud of that. And we're right now in the middle of our hiring process, so it's a busy time of year for us. So we start our annual process now, and we're also have a great collaboration with the school department, and we have Deputy Boyle is in charge of our intern program. So a lot going on, and again, this budget process and all the buy-in and all the support enables us to do that, so we thank you. So Chief Weston always does a fantastic job with his handouts, so anyone that's been here before, hopefully this is not foreign to you. We'll start on page 1 and we'll go as quickly as possible because we understand we're on a time limit here. Our operating budget, the salary line item is minimal increases this year. So basically a 2% step increase and also a 2% COLA. The fire chief's line item is contractual, so you'll see that in there. And again, the notes that are supplied in the document here, if you have any questions, obviously we'll answer them, but after tonight, if you do, hopefully you can find those answers here, and if not, we're available. So the operating budget, again, minimal increases this year. We're increasing by about $6,500, $6,520, and that really is for the whole world. There's increases in everything we buy, all the repairs and costs and things like that. And in addition to that, the chief usually does a 3-year average, and he did it this year, for all the line items inside the operating budget that we use to guide us during the budget cycle. And so if you flip a couple pages, you can see all of the notes that he supplied in there, how some of those line items have increased and some of them have decreased. And so basically that's to really keep us in line and have an accurate representation of where our money inside the overall budget is being spent line item by line item. So that's in there also. And again, if you flip through the pages, you can read all the notes at the bottom. That's probably obviously for offline stuff. So again, minimal increases in the salary budget and in our operating budget. Is there any questions on any of that? Budget stuff? So if you don't object, if you flip through the book, you can see how I'm on page that shows fire department non-union wage scale. That's how we calculate, and we get to the 2% COLA and the 2% step. All comes from that chart. And then the next page is our dispatcher breakdown for budget. So again, offline, you can read that and understand how that's all calculated. And then we get into, on the following page, we get into our capital budget. So I'd like to start there for a moment. This year in FY27, we have 3 capital requests, and we'll go through those briefly. 2 of them are priority 1, and we have a priority 2. And so if we start with the first one, priority 1, that is the replacement of our personal protective equipment, which basically is the fire gear that all of our firefighters wear to do their job. It is our first line of defense of safety, and it is an essential part of what we do and a necessity for all of us. Our gear that we are currently in now, in the next 2 years, is going to approach 10 years old. And there is an NFP mandate for 10 years that it basically expires at that point. And so we're trying to stay ahead of that. We got caught 1 year in the grant trap, and all things being honest, we do have a grant in the works right now for some of this equipment, and we're not sure how we're in there. They haven't answered, really haven't had any results. So, but that being said, the 10-year piece is by NFPA, and then we have the local, like the Mass State Fire Academy. So if our gear approaches, if our gear gets to the 10-year mark, they will not allow any of our firefighters to attend any classes or courses that require PPE. So those 2 things, obviously paramount is firefighter safety on top of that. That's why we rated it the priority 1. And the total cost of that right now is $800,000. We're hopeful that if we get a grant, we may be able to reduce that by some amount of money, but again, we can't promise that. That's just something that we're trying to do. Any questions on PPE? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
we divide that up? Is it possible to divide that up into 2 years, or is there a reason? Do we save money if we buy it all together?
So you,
And Ms. Lake, if you could just make sure you use the microphone, okay, so the folks at home can hear you.
Should I say it again?
No, it's just in the future. Though.
So you do get bulk discount pricing when you purchase that many sets of gear. And right now, unfortunately, it's all expiring at the same point. So we're kind of on that, in that time frame of, so, good question. Any other questions on PPE? Yeah. Okay, the second item is the priority 1, and that's the rehab of our existing, what we call a heavy rescue truck. And if you flip a couple pages, if you're looking for a visual, there is a couple pages in, you can see a picture of that rescue truck. And I apologize, the page before that, you can see the last time we did PPE, you can see how that was the new PPE that we purchased and all laid out and ready for our firefighters, when we passed all that out. So each one of these has a supporting document. The rescue truck, you can see, basically, that truck is, it carries all of our life-saving Jaws of Life tools, all the equipment for that. Anything that we don't typically use for a firefighting operation on a fire engine, which would be hoses and water and things like that. The rescue truck is basically a big rolling toolbox, but its main function is, MVA with entrapment, Jaws of Life, patient extrication, and any other rescue type scenario you can think of. Every tool that we need is basically on that truck. So the truck that is currently in service was built in 2006. I think that was one of our first years together, 2006. And the truck has served the community and served our department well. The condition of the truck currently warrants, the chief has decided on a rehab versus replacement. The replacement cost obviously is a lot more than the rehab cost. So he's decided on a rehab, and the total cost of that will be $300,000. And that will be, we've already solicited a vendor to come and give quotes, and the chief has obviously, he's very detailed, had a detailed list of what needs to be rehabbed, and so that's kind of where we are as a price point. Any questions on the rescue?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
How many years do you expect to get out of it if you do a rehab?
So our trucks are a 20-year replacement typically, so you can see 2006, 2026, it's the 20-year mark. And again, the rehab versus replacement. With a rehab, we'd hope to get 10, if not 11, 12, 13 years out of it. I'd say a cap at 15. But yeah, we're trying to extend the life for a minimal amount of money rather than biting the big nugget and going for another 20. the rehab is really the most economical way, fiscal way to do it, so.
Can I ask you, how many of these repair rescue trucks do we have?
Just one.
Just one? So
Yes.
how long does the rehab take?
I would envision this one here, a little simpler than some of the other trucks we've done. I'd say about 6 to 7 months.
So while the rehab is going on, where does all that equipment go?
So we do have periods of time where the truck goes for maintenance. We had the undercarriage in framework done a few years ago. And we ran into that same. So we'll take the major equipment like those jaws of light tools, and we have a big trailer that we put them on, and we have it hooked to a command car, ready to go. So it's not optimum, but it's that's what we do.
But so the public can be aware, there's no issues with public safety while this rehab is going on. All that
Correct.
equipment
There'll
is
be
available just in a replacement vehicle.
Correct.
Okay.
There'll be no lapse in coverage, no lapse in capacity, or yeah.
I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. That's all. Thank you. Anything else?
Anybody?
All right.
Rescue truck, anybody? No me? The last item that we have on our capital plan this year for FY27 is the replacement or rehab of our existing, what we call Loom 1. It's basically, if you drive on the highway and you drive through the construction zones, it's a light tower, portable lighting tower. It's a diesel-powered unit. It's a tow behind. We tow behind a vehicle. This particular unit that's been in service again since 2026, 2005, 2006, has served us well, but it's very tired. It has like big sodium pressure vapor lights on it that are very, they're not energy efficient at all, and so it's time for an upgrade. And so, Chief, I know you had looked at both versions. The upgrade versus the...
Yeah, it was very cost, and whether we just bought the lights versus we bought a new tower. They were very cost in price. So again, we put this as a priority 2. This is one of those items that, we get down to the last juggling things, who can afford what. Obviously we can make some changes, but it's part of our capital program. It's been part of the program. It's nothing we're changing. It's just keeping it moving.
In this piece of equipment, it's available to all the disciplines, so police, fire, EMS, DPW. It's been used in everything you can imagine that requires nighttime lighting. It's a shared resource, so it's housed at our facility. Any questions on the lighting tower? And again, it's probably more for offline, but when you walk away tonight, I would probably really appreciate it if you take a look through the document. I know the chief puts a lot of time and effort into it. It goes through, again, those 3 FY27 capital requests, and then it goes on to continue with our 10-year plan, which is updated every year. So that information is all there for you. Anything, Jim? All right. Any questions for
Mr. Carter?
Yeah, I just want to say, I guess not to go back. I'm just looking at the 3 capital plans for both some of the biggest users, school, police, fire. And back in 2021, we had a dedicated capital plan to fund the capital budget separately from free cash. And as people know, I was for it, but somehow the solar money got absorbed in the operating budget. So I'm just looking at next year, it's over $2 million worth of capital. So if we stay with that $1 million of free cash, obviously it's going to be difficult. And even looking at some of the out years on some of these schedules, it seems to be $1 million to $2 million on average. So I think that we, with the finance committee, need to work on some kind of dedicated funding source for capital that is above and beyond free cash. Otherwise, we can't make any of these things happen.
100% agree with that.
Okay, anyone else?
I just want to say thank you. It's very impressive, this handout. It's very detailed. I like it.
You have the best handouts of any.
Well, that's all. Well, next year we're going to, I meant to apologize that we didn't have a digital version for you, but we'll try that next year. We'll do both next year.
Maybe the police will do it next year.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, and it's a little bit of making the sausage here, but I'll tell you now, town staff really appreciates this wage scale. I know the chief and the deputy chief spent a lot of time putting this together with our finance department. It's made our lives a lot easier as we move forward through the years. It was very difficult to figure out the wage scales before. The firefighters don't fit into the typical town wage scale that we have. This really solidifies it. Hopefully with this 12 years, we won't have to be having the detailed discussions that we do about the wage scale every single year.
Thank you. Thank you, folks. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good job, Matt.
All right, next is our Emergency Medical Services Department. Chief, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. I don't have handouts tonight, so I figured I'd follow Chief Dufley's lead with no handouts. So just as a kind of a high view overview of the EMS budget for FY27, the EMS department remains in sound financial status to remain self-sufficient. We actually recently raised our billing rates to try to continue that goal to remain self-sufficient, and we are doing a very good job of collecting on that. The FY27 budget looks to increase to address some necessary changes in the department's operations. The operations budget, we're looking to increase by 5% just to cover the increased costs for materials, services, and disposal equipment usage from our increased call volume, but also the increased costs for such equipment. And then the salary budget, we actually are doing a pretty significant increase of 8% due to the fact that we're looking to make some, to give our core staff raises of the 2% COLA, and also we have staff that have step raises as well coming, but also the re-implementation of the full-time deputy EMS chief position. Deputy Fiend retired in June of 2024. At the time, we were able to divide that job amongst 2 per diem deputy EMS chiefs. Over the last year, it has been found that as much hard as both those gentlemen work, they both work full-time somewhere else, and that sometimes pulls them away from being here to do the job. And where, when Karen was here, she was here 5 days a week. It was deemed that refilling that position is definitely something we need to look to do. Operational administrative responsibilities have also increased over the last year with mandates and requirements from the state, and the position that we're looking to fill would align with other parity of deputies and departments, so they would be a grade B, step 1 on the non-union personnel wage scale, seeing as I'm a grade A, a non-union personnel wage scale. So that's where our operating and our salary looks to go. And then as far as the FY27 capital projects to be funded, of course, Chief Dufley and I worked together to discuss the UTV that he's proposing. And then with the creation of a full-time deputy position, we need to have a vehicle for that member to respond to emergency calls in when they're off duty or when they're in the station. The plan moving forward is to purchase a new 4-wheel drive pickup truck, equip that with the lights, siren radios, everything it needs to be responding in. We're also going to put a deck system in the back to hold some equipment and hold some equipment in the back area that does not need to be temperature controlled. Having a 4-wheel drive vehicle such as that will help during winter storms, things of that nature, when we're out on the road, and also carry some additional equipment and tools that might help us access patients during that weather. It also is going to have some equipment for mass casualty incidents. Currently we have limited supplies on both ambulances. There is an MCI trailer that if we needed it, we could request from Duxbury, but this will have some limited MCI equipment on it just in case it is needed, so we can deploy it immediately while we wait for the trailer to come and give us more supplies and equipment. That purchase is expected to be projected cost about $70,000. That is well within the budget to be absorbed in the ambulance fund for this year. And then the last thing is that the end for the next town meeting is going to be having a warrant article to transfer $20,000 from the ambulance fund back to the capital stabilization to help repay the $100,000 that was borrowed back in 2024 when we purchased our ambulance 1 that got delivered in 2020. for. So, and then we also going to look to do a second article to also cover transferring another $20,000 that was supposed to be transferred in FY26, but it just wasn't documented appropriately in the warrant article for town meeting, so the money went into a separate account. So that money is still sitting there. It's not gone anywhere. It just didn't go where it was intended to go, because just from communication, my communication wasn't clear on how it should have been written in the warrant article. So both those will be in there, so that would replace $40,000 in FY27. That will bring us back up to $60,000 paid, and we'll owe $40,000 for FY28 and FY29 to round that out.
Great. Can I just ask you, same question I asked Chief Dufely earlier, was there any issues at the fair this year with not having the UTV was a problem, or we just try to be more prepared for the future?
So not really any issues per se, but the issue that we have run into is the difference with the old location and new location is the old location was very, very hard to get an ambulance into because it was dirt. There was a lot of stumps, roots, stumps, everything else in the area. This area is a little bit more open. Edaville, when it was operating, if they had a medical emergency inside, we would bring the ambulance in. The difference between Edaville, when it was all open and operating, and Cambridge's Fair, is the size, the quantity of people that are inside. So we can get the ambulance in. There's a lot of people to move. Something such as a UTV with a skid on the back that we can load a patient in would be a lot easier to manipulate through that area to get the patient out to where the ambulance will be coming in, and that is the goal. And it's also a lot safer to move someone that way than to try to wheel them on a stretcher or carry them in a Stokes basket. It all it takes is one person to trip or stumble while carrying it, and then we have a staff member injured and we have a patient that's on the ground that shouldn't be. So this is something that we looked at was a good idea, and it's something that can be used at the fair, but also can be used for other events in town when other things are going on. I see the road race as another situation where that can be used. If someone gets injured out on the race course, we can take the UTV out to get them and bring them back to where the ambulance is located. Things that there are definitely other uses for it, but it definitely would be a great addition to have to be used at that venue when it's open.
All right, thank you. Other questions for the chief?
Can I just
Ms.
ask,
Sullivan?
along with the King Richard's Fair, should they be hiring a detail for an ambulance in there?
Not necessarily. They do currently have two medical person on site. I will say that they did a very good job this year. They actually worked very well. We actually have a resuscitation, a cardiac arrest resuscitation, due to the fact between the fair and our police department working together, and then our staff showing up. But they deployed an AED pretty quickly, used it, and got the patient back. The patient had a pulse when we put him in the back of our ambulance. So they do have very good staff working there. So I don't see the need for an ambulance there at this time. And again, putting an ambulance there would then reduce the coverage for the town. So that would also be against putting an ambulance down just for that reason. We are busy enough that both trucks are running pretty busy, and not FY27, but in the future there may be a discussion about putting a third ambulance on because we are getting that busy.
Anything else for the chief? Mr. Cannon, do you have anything to add?
No, I just know with the all-terrain vehicles here and being into the woods too, with hunters, Blackstown, again, I know those things come in very handy sometimes for access into locations that really there are no roads, quite honestly.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming in. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
All right. Next is our Operations and Maintenance Department. Mr. Woods.
Good evening. John Woods, Deputy Director of Operations and Maintenance. I'll be filling in for Dave tonight. Dave couldn't make it. So the budget this year is any increases are just due to any union contractual obligations and just the cost of, inflation, cost of living, basically. There was a small decrease. We had a long-term custodian left this year, so we had a little bit of money left from that, from him leaving. And in the regular salaries, there was a small decrease only because the director's salary was put into his own item, his own category. The regular salaries are myself, the facilities manager, and then any of the union increases from there. So that's all the increases for the budget.
Question, are you rehiring that position?
I'm sorry?
Are you replacing that position that left?
Yes, we are. It's already been replaced. Yep.
But at a lower rate.
At a lower rate, yes.
So there's some savings there.
Yep.
So do you have a percentage increase for the estimated for
I don't know.
salaries and operating?
I want to say 12%, I believe. If that's correct.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, Mr. Ryan. This sounds a little high.
Yeah, I don't think it is that. I apologize. I do not have
That's all
that
right.
sheet.
Mr. Why don't you get that to the town administrator? and he can
I will.
get it
Yep.
up. Okay?
Absolutely. Any other questions on the budget?
No?
No? All right. Capital requests. We're going to be looking to replace a 2005 one-ton dump truck with plow for the assistant groundskeeper. That vehicle tows mowers around, plows during the winter, hauls debris and other materials around town and whatnot. We'll be looking to replace that. The estimated cost to replace that is $95,000. The second capital request is to replace a 2007 3/4 ton truck that the facilities manager uses. Estimated cost to replace that is $75,000. And that truck, same thing, is just plows snow, is running around town all day, moving equipment around, things like that. And these are in order of our wish list also, just so you know the capital. The last thing I have on capital is to replace a 2011 International Snow Fighter dump truck with a plow and sander. Estimated cost to replace that is going to be $323,000. And that's a frontline snow plow sander. So that's, like I said, that's out there. Front lines, crucial piece of equipment.
All right.
That's all I have, really.
All right. Other questions for Mr. Woods? Ms. Healy?
Mr. Woods, I was just wondering how many
Yes.
snowplows and sanders, snowplow/sanders do we have in town?
So the town has five plows and sanders.
Well, I just want you to
Large
know
six-wheelers.
that in my opinion, they do an awesome job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep, no, we have a very good crew and a lot of loyal contractors that continue to come back each year. They do a lot of work to get their trucks ready, and we don't get the storms that we do anymore, so it's beginning to get a lot of real tough out there to get contractors. I don't have contractors knocking on my door anymore to come in and plow. I don't know if you saw on the signboards around town, I put a notice up to try to get some drivers in. Luckily, that did work. We got a couple in, but we're still short a couple, so we'd like to get a
I see
couple
those
more if we
notices
could.
in every city and town I drive through. It seems to be a challenge everywhere.
It's a challenge because the younger group coming up these days, they have no interest in it. And the older crew is obviously getting older, and they're starting to get towards the end of their time that they want to do it. So in another 10, 20 years, I'm going to be curious to see what happens.
Anyone else? Let's go.
Sure, just a quick question on your capital list.
Yes.
Typically, there's a $100,000 green energy savings article or something like that.
Yes, I
Are you not
apologize.
asking for that this year?
I do not have that, but I did miss another one if I could go to that one. And that's to repair and repaint the middle high school tennis and basketball court surfaces. That would be $120,000. And I do not have the energy one that you're asking about, Mr. Carter.
Anyone else?
Just
Ms.
a
Sullivan?
comment that the building was very nice when we walked in tonight with all the new carpeting. Just looks like it's freshly painted.
Thank you. I cannot take credit for that. That was Dave, but I agree it does look good. I wasn't sure how it was going to look going from tile to carpet, but it looks good.
Looks really good.
All right. We good?
Thank you.
Glenn, I will get you that tomorrow.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next is our assessing department. Welcome back.
Thank you. So thank you for having me tonight.
And again, if you could just introduce yourself for the folks.
Absolutely. My name's Olivia Verhagen. I'm the Director of Assessing. I've been here about 2 months now, so newer to the town. We're operating on a level funded budget. We are fully staffed and things are going very smoothly in the office. I'm currently working with the town accountant and the town clerk to submit our tax recap to the DOR. And the only increases to our budget this year are from the clerical union contract.
Okay. That's simple enough. Are there any questions for our assessor? Wow.
Trying to think of something.
Mr. Cannon, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
That may be a new record.
I tried to keep it simple.
No, nobody has anything? We appreciate you coming in.
Perfect.
I
Thank
guess
you.
I had a quick question.
there you go.
Absolutely.
I gotta have something for you. And that is, what do you think of the new equipment that you've got, the IT equipment? How's that working out for you?
It's great. It's really good. It really is.
all I got.
I don't have an expansion plan. Thank you.
Thanks very much for coming. All right, next is our library department. Mr. Cannon, are you handling that?
No.
We have the library.
Oh, I didn't see her, sorry.
She's sitting in the back.
I apologize.
I was hiding in the back. Hello.
Thanks for coming in this evening.
Thank you. Carol Julius, Library Director. 26 years.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Oh, thank you. The library is doing well. We're stable, we're active. We very much appreciate all the capital money that the town has invested in the building the last couple of years. It's really made a big difference with the climate control, and we've got that all done, and the roof was done this year, and the painting, so it's really nice, and we very much appreciate that. In terms of the budget, I have kept our increases extremely modest in order to keep the overall budget low. There's the usual contractual increases, the cost of being a member of sales, the other things that we do to serve the community. And I'm happy to report that I just received notification that our state aid application has been approved for this fiscal year, and we should be receiving the first installment of our annual award in the next few weeks, and then we'll get a second installment in the spring. There is one thing I want to highlight in my budget request, and I know it skewed it way off, and then I don't know, Glenn, if you adjusted that number after we met, or if it's still the original that I submitted to you.
We haven't adjusted them yet.
Okay, so it's not as bad as that. After I met with Glenn and Elaine and Karen, I do want to make a case for changing the grade of the assistant director's position from a grade F to a grade E. It's really, it's a professional position. The assistant director now has gotten her master's degree since our last budget cycle, and I'd like to see that be made a permanent part of the job description, which it currently is not. It says master's preferred. I think it should be required. I have done the comparable towns. I have done surveys, and she is currently, her current salary is below market. Every town on the list except for one pays their assistant director at a higher hourly rate for, very similar responsibilities. The position really is the second in command in the library, running things when I'm not there, but then also supervising staff when I'm there, does all the training for any new employees, manages the adult collection, adult programming, and all of that. And I will also add that in this particular case, one benefit is that the woman who has the position lives right here in town, and that has been a real benefit, particularly last winter when we were closed quite a bit, when the heating system was failing. Because she lived so close, she was coming down every day, even when we weren't in there, and she was emptying the book drop and just getting taken care of those things. And I think that level of responsiveness is rare, and I think it's something that we don't want to risk losing because the salary isn't where it should be. So the level of education should be tied to the compensation, and I do recommend adding it for that reason, for retention and stability. I don't like to ask you guys for extra money, but I feel like I had to go to bat on this one for this year.
Through your chair, could we just ask what the percentage increase is?
So,
Not the dollar, but just the...
Yeah, so what I did was, she is currently at a grade F, and her current salary would be in FY27, $57,348. That was a grade F step 5. The recommendation with meeting with Glenn was that if we moved her to a grade E step 2, the new salary would be $60,824, and the increase is $3,476. So it's a pretty nominal amount, but I think it sends a message of the value of the position and the value of the person. And I mean, and I'll be frank with you, my hope is that when I retire, she would be, moving up into my place. So,
Okay.
Questions?
Questions?
Nope. Okay, I'll give you one. Isn't there a certain line in your budget that you have to spend for the state in order to get some kind of accreditation?
Yes. So the way state aid works is our budget has to increase, excuse me, 2.5% over an average of the previous 3 years. And then, so that's one component. And then the other component is that the amount of money we spend on materials. So but that includes everything, books, periodicals, newspapers, audiobooks, ebooks, all of that has to be 16% of our bottom line.
And that's including your budget, you got that?
Yeah. Yes, this budget, the amount that I put in for the book budget isn't actually 16%, but because we do passports and we generate revenue through passports, we get $35 for every passport application that we submit, and so that makes up that difference and brings us up to, it's about $72,000 that we need to spend on books, and that allows us to do that. So.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No?
All right. Thank you.
Great, thanks, and look at, now you're caught up and you're on time.
Yeah, that's right. Mr. Cannon, are you handling the planning?
Yeah, yes, I am.
So why don't we leave as many of the things you're handling to the end as possible? That way we can let folks go home as early. I do see our
Catch up on
our
time.
conservation agent here, and we'll let him jump ahead, and that way he can go home a little early this evening.
Appreciate that. So, good evening, everyone. Amila Singh, Carver Conservation Agent. Hoping I'll be a little bit easier than some of the other departments. If you guys have a copy of our budget request in front of you, if not, I am not making any supplemental requests for increases to our Conservation Commission budget. We don't have any capital projects, so the only increases are for myself as the full-time conservation agent. It's a 4% salary increase for my step and for the COLA. So that's the only increase that is on our FY27 request. Our budget is pretty much level funded, and the reason for that is that our Conservation Commission and I have found that we're able to fulfill the permitting requirements of the town. As of right now with the FY26 budget, we're pretty much on track, and I think the only thing that I anticipate in the future being something that I would like to utilize more is our seminar and training budget line, and that's something that I've been here for 2 years now. I'd really like for our commissioners and myself to continue to learn as we're serving the town. I think there's definitely some opportunity for us to continue to learn and get better at what we do in terms of the obligation for the town to protect our wetlands. Let's see. And I think, I really try to work efficiently and, expend the budget in an efficient and responsible way. So, and this year I just didn't feel that it was necessary to request any additional funds. I will say that, I think that we're pretty much on track with our, current funds. We only have, about $6,000 allocated for the conservation budget line. So it's not like we have a whole lot of budget. So yeah, just keep that in mind and don't slash our budget.
We appreciate that. Other questions for our conservation agent?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys, and I also want to thank you for the cost of living increase and voting to support that for our staff, our permitting staff. Really support myself and others, departments a lot. So I just want to thank you guys. As a young person that hopes to one day buy a house in this state, it is appreciated. So thank you.
All right.
We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. All right. Our Board of Health is... Mr. Borg, are you handling the Board of Health this evening?
I am.
Perfect timing.
How is everybody? Hi.
You could just introduce yourself for the folks at home.
Hi, Kevin Ford, Board of Health agent, representing the Board of Health.
All right. Thanks for coming in this evening.
Sure.
Do you have a presentation?
I do not.
Well, I'll make it very simple. Like conservation agent, these departments really don't have any capital increases right now. They primarily are salary. I will say across the board, though, what you really do see, and you'll see when we get into the sheets, and I know some people have alluded to the sheets. I haven't put my stamp on any of their requests yet, so that's why they haven't been distributed to you yet. But you'll see across the board, really, their inflation is hitting almost every expense line. And this is really, you know, we talked about the level service budget. They're buying the same products year after year, really not an increase in products here, but it's the cost is, you know, somewhere between 5 and 10%, pretty consistent across the board.
And that's a good point. The same things that our residents are seeing at home every time they go to the food store, the same things affect town hall.
Correct. It really is the same thing. You know, the same ream of paper that we're buying here at town hall costs more this year than it does last year. I will say with O&M, I think one of the bigger line items they have is their gasoline budget. Gasoline has been very stable, and we're very thankful for that, because that can hit very hard in the budget. But for the most part,
Yeah.
maybe you have some additional information.
No, I mean, basically, it's level funding. We don't change much year to year. Our biggest expense is the oversight of the North Carver landfill. That doesn't change much year to year. Once it gets to the next level, there will be a reduction, but it'll probably always be somewhere in the range of $30,000 or $40,000 per year. Okay. But beyond that, you know, there aren't any real capital expenses at all.
And Kevin, that cost has been going down over the years.
Yeah, when I started, it was about $170,000 a year, but with the installation of the water main, the oversight of the landfill becomes less, therefore the expenses are less. But there'll always be testing, follow-up testing, groundwater testing around the landfill over the years. That'll never change, but at least it'll be a more manageable thing than what it was back when I first started.
Okay. Other questions? Ms. Hewens?
I'm sorry, what did you say it was now? For
What
the
it is now,
landfill?
it's down to $75,000. So it's about a $100,000 reduction over the years.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you.
Yes.
For you. What about the public health nurse? Is that still outsourced?
Yeah, Carver is part of a shared services grant. We did have a nurse. She worked out very well, but she had issues that she needed to deal with outside. We've interviewed probably about 5 candidates. We actually hired one through the grant. That was a process that took about 3 or 4 months to accomplish, because we're only meeting like maybe once a month. Hired that person, and he removed himself from consideration. So, excuse me, we're right back at the same level. I was at a grant meeting today. Excuse me. There's a possibility that the grant is going to be able to hire the Cape Cod Visiting Nurses Association, which is what the town had years past. They decided probably about 6 or 7 years ago that they weren't going to come across the bridge anymore. But
They don't come across the bridge.
They don't.
Still do not.
That's
cross the
right.
bridge.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Yeah.
But there's a possibility that through the grant, the VNA may be hired. So we're still working on it.
So no one's filling in at all right now?
Not yet.
So what do we do if we have a TB case?
I'm sorry?
What happens if someone in the town has TB or?
We do have a part-time nurse that follows Maven and does the follow-up on that. Okay.
And the emergency medical services is doing some of that at the COA. They've actually kind of filling the gap.
Yes, they are.
Which is an unpaid service to the town. You know, generally they're charging for their services, so this is something they're giving back to the town.
They're required to go into the MIS system and fill out Maven reports.
Right,
which
that's
I
right.
don't think that service can do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is there anything else from Mr. Ford this evening?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the night.
Thank you.
All right, next is our inspectional services department. And thank you for coming in this evening.
Yes, you're welcome. My name is Rod Palmer, Carver Building Commissioner. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board and Finance Committee. Just to piggyback on what Glenn had talked about in increases in costs, here we're in the building department, we've experienced it too. From little things where we're now in a new building code, so we buy a whole new line of books that have doubled in cost in the last 2 years. So it's not just the increase in wages, but as well we have a cost increase in everything across the board to reflect inflation. So I'm sure everybody's had a good look at our schedule. We do have one significant change that I'd like to talk about just for a moment, and that has to do with the plumbing and gas inspector and the electrical inspector and their salary. Right now, that salary is, they come in 3 days a week, and they're paid $142 and change per day for their work. And it's in my opinion, a scale that is far below what other communities are paying for part-time inspectors. These part-time inspectors come in 3 days a week, typically Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it can vary depending on the week or the month, but it's typically 3 days a week. But their work is not 3 days a week. They physically come to the building and go around town and do their inspections, but they work 5 days a week. They take phone calls 5 days a week. They communicate with electricians. Electricians will contact them and have conversations about projects and jobs and get their opinions on things. So it's really a 5-day work week. And their pay at $142 a day is they're not compensated for their vehicles. They use their own vehicles and their own gasoline. They use their own telephones. So we had a permanent inspector. His name was Stephen Peterson, and sadly he passed away a little over a year ago, and he was our permanent inspector. And we still have no permanent inspector. But we're fortunate enough to have 2 individuals that have been helping us out. One you may know, Will Sinclair, and the other Jeff Syracuse, and he's been helping us. And right now they're working 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, so they sort of alternate until such time we can hire a permanent. And we've had a challenging time because of what they're paid. But we're in a good place right now in that they're working and they're extremely proficient, reliable, and they understand the town and the dynamics of their job here in Carver. So by increasing it, I think that we will have a much better opportunity to hire somebody permanent. And one of the 2 inspectors that we have today, Jeff, is I think he would be a good candidate, and I think that he would be willing to take the job if we could pay him a little bit more money. So right now they're making $142 a day, and they do get their 2% increase. However, the 2% on $142 a day is rather de minimis. It's only $3. It's a $3 increase per day. It's not really a lot of money. So my plan was to increase it from $22,598 per year to $32,760. So it goes from $142 a day to $210 a day. And I had no creative formula or special formula to come up with $210. I just did a survey of other communities, and other communities that have part-time inspectors, they range anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 a year. So I thought that would be a reasonable round number, $210 a day. It brings them to $32,760 a year. And that's one inspector. So it's not as though we have 2. It's one person. And that one person that comes in 3 days a week but works 5 days a week with no benefits, no sick time, no vacation time, would be making $32,760 per year.
That sounds like something we should be reviewing in the budget.
Correct. And, I'm going to say there'd also be an offset to his fees We discussed that at the
Yes,
last
right.
select board meeting. We'll bring that back on December 2nd.
Mhm.
So hopefully, budget-wise, it'll be a neutral. That's what we're hoping.
Yeah, I would imagine. Okay, thank you. Yes, Ms. Selger.
I'm just wondering, when you say a day, is it 8 hours a day?
No, so it varies. So this year's been rather busy. We had the battery energy storage system that kept them busy. We had King Richard's Fair that kept them busy. At one point, we were so busy that I had them both working at the same time because of the volume. But there are some days where they're here 8 hours. And then the next day, they might only be here 2 hours. So that's a great question, and it varies. It just depends on the time of year, the volume of work. If it's in the middle of the winter and it's been cold and snowy, there might be a slow week. But then when summer rolls around, it balances out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Carter.
I'm just not sure I'm understanding right. Right now, you've got a part-time plumbing and a part-time electrical inspector.
Yes.
But you'd like it to be a full-time position. You think this person, Jeff, might be the one, but is he going to be plumbing and electrical? I thought he was the plumber.
So it won't be a full-time position. It will be a permanent position. So right now, they're per diem. They're not permanent employees. The permanent employee we had was part-time, and he passed away. So that was over a year ago, and for the past year, we've been utilizing these two gentlemen per diem as fill-ins. So it's not a part-time position. I mean, I'm sorry, it's not a full-time position, it's a part-time position. And hence, it's only paying $32,000 a year.
It's the electrical inspector only.
Right, yes.
The plumbing inspector is separate.
Yes, we have two. We have a plumbing and gas, that's one inspector, and we have an electrical, that's another inspector.
Yeah. I think by making them permanent employees, we sort of have more of a say in having them do things, the Carver way, and how we'd like to see things done, which is a benefit as well. Ms. Sullivan.
Can I ask just one more question?
Sure.
Have we ever thought to change the pay structure from just per day to per hour what they actually work?
I've not entertained that.
I'm just...
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good question, but it's not something that I've ever, thought about,
I think at one point years ago, we did a percentage of the permit, and then we ran into problems because
Yeah.
some of them were making like a couple $100,000 a year
Mm.
because of the permit value.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Mr. Palmer, thank you for
All
coming in
right.
this evening. We
Okay,
appreciate it.
folks. Thanks. Have a great night.
All right, next is our Veteran Services Department. Welcome.
Good evening,
Thanks for coming
everyone.
in this evening. And if you could just introduce yourself for the folks at home.
Sure. Can you hear me? All right. My name is Celestine Cruz. I am the Veteran Service Officer. I started in December of 2024. Just want to also add before I began with my proposal is that the different benefits that we have for veterans, let me just say, I'm not only advocate for the veterans, but I also try to assist them in living expenses and outreaching to find out what their needs are. So, such as the Chapter 115 program, the benefit that is provided is monthly financial assistance and medical assistance, and that's monthly, where municipalities are, such as Carver, reimburse 75% of the program's costs by the state. And each reimbursement so far is about $13,000 to $14,000 of reimbursement. I would like to propose that the town of Carver, I guess I'm starting with the capital budget first, invest in a wheelchair-accessible shuttle bus to help the veterans and surviving spouses travel safely from Carver to the Brockton VA Medical Center, West Roxbury VA Medical Center, and Jamaica Plain VA Medical Center. Right now, many local veterans face major obstacles getting to their VA appointments. Some don't drive anymore or travel long distance, and there are those who have to wait on family or friends to drive them, and most of the time, if they rely on family, the family member would have to take off a day from work to assist their loved ones. And lastly, there's no reliable, affordable public transportation between Carver and Brockton or the other VA medical centers that I've mentioned earlier. This means veterans, many of whom serve our country honorably, are missing medical appointments and vital support services simply because they have no way to get there. A dedicated veteran shuttle service would change that. The estimated cost for fully wheelchair accessible new shuttle bus is about $85,000, but may be slightly higher with the purchase of a hands-free two-way radio with GPS that connects in areas where mobile devices drop service is about $1,050. $1,600 for signage or bus with vinyl lettering and logos. It would comfortably seat 10 to 14 passengers, include a lift for wheelchairs, and could be operated 3 days a week, Monday through Wednesday, based on demand. Now, this service would ensure that veterans and spouses can get some consistent access to health care, reduce isolation for older and disabled veterans and surviving spouses, show that Carver truly honors its commitment to those who serve, strengthen our partnership with VA medical centers in Brockton, West Roxbury, and Jamaica Plain, and could even open opportunities for grant funding or collaboration with veteran organizations. So I did map something out. I know that's a lot of words, but I did map out some items based on the shuttle for the Veterans shuttle project. Okay, so I did split them up into routes, and I'm going to do this quickly for Brockton, Carver to Brockton, Monday to Tuesdays, and then Route 2 and 3 with alternating Wednesdays. Of course, 9 CDL. And as you can see, what I just mentioned about 3 days per week. I also want to mention that I did move it up to about $90,000 only because of inflation. So in 2026, that amount of $87,650 will go up. And here are the routes, and I will give you the handouts as well. And it also includes breaks for the driver. Okay, so I'm on this slide here, which is a proposed funding plan. I am putting a grant in for MassDOT Grant pays 85%, which is $72,250, and then the local grant would be 15%, which is $12,950. And the rest would be based on the driver's part-time position, vehicle maintenance, and so on and so forth. So that would be the annual operating costs. But the amount of the vehicle itself will be, as you know, a one-time fee. Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Sure.
Mr. Carter?
I guess with the GATRA bus drivers, do they only stay local? I'm not sure if they can be used to provide.
I figured you would say that, and the reason why I was I was hoping that we could use our own driver is because the reimbursement that GATRA gets, if we use their driver, it will go back to GATRA and Council on Aging. There's nothing wrong with that, but right now the Veterans Department does need something to replenish its revolving account, which is what we need to, we will create. With that being said, if we use our own driver, that reimbursement from O&M would go back into the Veterans revolving account.
And Mr. Carter, I believe the GATRA buses only go to adjacent towns as well, so they certainly don't go to Boston.
Yeah, they don't go up that way at all.
No.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Questions. So how many residents in town would be using this? Because if you do 3 days a week, I mean, do we have enough people to use it for 3 days a week for 52 weeks a year?
Well, here's the thing. There are a lot of, I do listen to a lot of the phone calls from the veterans that come in and they're like, oh, I have to wait on so-and-so, or I can't get there. And they can drive most of the times, but they don't want to drive that far because they fear the highway, you know? So I am projecting about 10 going to Brockton each trip, and I have 3 trips that I outline from Carver to Brockton, and then based on demand, we will use the shuttle for West Roxbury and Jamaica Plain.
And you think we have enough volume?
I believe, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Have we tried to reach out to local agencies to see if they could help get drivers before we employ somebody here by a van?
Well, no, we have not. And here's the thing, I did reach out to Peggy at GATRA, who works at Council on Aging, and she did give me some tips and tricks. It's basically 25.5 hours a week, so it would have to be somebody that's maybe, you know, just looking for something extra, and it's really not a full-time job. That's why I like to stress that it is a part-time position.
I'm just wondering if we've looked outside, because I know you could reach out to a local VNA. They have social workers on site that staff, and they can find you different resources for drivers.
And I know DAV does that as well, you know. So, yeah, they do that
Or
too.
Elder Services,
Right.
maybe could help you find someone through the homemaking PCA.
Okay.
I'm just,
Thank you.
Other venues
No, I
also.
accept. Thank you so much. Yeah. Because I know also with if we were to rent a van or a vehicle, it would be a lot more than us just purchasing one outright as well.
Mr. Wright.
Do any other towns like Middleborough or Plimpton offer this service, and could we partner with anybody to save costs?
They do have the service, but they have it independently.
So we couldn't partner with anybody or contribute to the service just to see how it would work out to start Carver off. That's what I'm looking at, is like we may have to build it up. So it would be good to see if you could have a pilot program where maybe we partner with a local community and see if we could have them serve Carver, you know, for whatever it might cost to start us going. And then after we get going with it, then we could assess, you know, the cost of having our own driver and vehicle.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well, between Middleborough or Plimpton or Kingston, some of these local towns. I don't know whether they all have a service now or they don't, but certainly investigate it. Ms. Gillen.
Thank you. So you did mention that you are applying for grant money. So this request might, for the vehicle, since that's a one-time purchase, that might not be necessary if you should get the grant.
If we should get the grant, and if not, I would also like to propose to Elizabeth, Mrs. Schuler, if I can be on the 2026 annual town committee meeting. Yes,
we will definitely
on the agenda. Yes, thank you.
Great, thank you.
I just want to say something too. A lot of the times, the health insurance, especially with a one care program, making sure that you understand that what insurances each person has, because they'll have transportation associated.
That's all included in with the registration and miscellaneous as well. And also the driver will need training, you know, so I do have that in mind as well.
And for you, I think also we would have to, if we went this route, and I love it, I just don't know if it's affordable yet, we would have to really increase our liability insurance. So there's other, you know, expenses that could come. It's going to increase our OPEB and, you know, anything else to hire somebody on.
Benefits, there's a lot of things to consider.
A lot of benefits, but, you know, this is a...
For part-time, there's benefits?
Will you be in the retirement, the OPEB going out?
If it's over 20 hours, it's benefit.
But that's the good thing about bringing something like that up now, is that we have time to review it and take those things into consideration. So I think it's good that we brought it up now and put it out there.
All right.
So, is there anything else you'd like to tell the board? Or?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that on the operating budget, a lot of the expenses have been brought down, only because I actually went through and sift through each line item to make sure that I didn't need some of it. I felt like some of the money that was there was a little bit too much, like training and membership. It's only $160 a year. So, yeah, so I actually made sure that unnecessary expenses were taken care of, and where it was needed in the veterans budget, that it would go towards that as well.
Well, we certainly appreciate all you do. We have to do as much as we can for our veterans.
Thank you.
So we appreciate it. If there's anything else, please feel free to reach out to the board at any time. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you.
All right, next this evening is our Council on Aging. I see our director has just arrived, so perfect timing.
I must have known.
If you could just introduce yourself for the folks at home.
Oh, yes. Connie Kelly, Director of the Carver COA.
All right.
I'll just do a little review or recap of the past year because I was very pleased with some of the statistics that I looked up. Some of the growth that the COA has had just in the past year compared to 2024, and hopefully we will continue the progression of that growth. Our registrations for our seniors for the COA went up 40%. We went from 504 at the end of 2024 up to currently at 702. I think this is directly related to the addition of our part-time activities coordinator. We've had her situated directly as you enter the building, where we had no one there before. So clearly having somebody to greet visitors, engage them, give tours of the facility, and encourage them to join the COA has really been effective. She also was very effective in discovering a lot of seniors that had been attending the COA and hadn't registered for years. So we were missing out on some statistics on some seniors that were actually participating. So that was an exciting discovery. The participation is also being measured and increased 77% from unduplicated, which means that individual seniors that have attended throughout the year. In 2024, we had 205 active seniors participating. Currently, to date, we have 363 that we're showing for this year. So I think we're doing something right. We're attracting seniors, and they're participating. Definitely increasing in the participation. Our average daily attendance increased about 10% from, and this is with calculated with duplicated seniors that might come every day or for certain activities. The average last year was 44 per day, and it's up to 48. So we're seeing continued growth, which is great. New programming that we've offered this year was we introduced a second monthly foot care service, which is very popular. We could probably even accommodate a third one, but right now we're at 2. We have free monthly hearing screenings, so a lot of health-related programming is very well attended. We have a weekly wellness clinic that is pretty steadily attended, which is great. So I think offering more services is much needed. We have, this year, we were able to offer 3 dental hygiene services that could actually take place at the COA, which was incredible. We're having a licensed hygienist who comes with all her own things, a chair and everything. It's amazing to see what can be offered. And it was filled for every one of the 3 times. And this was offered through a grant with BID Plymouth. And we're hoping to get that again for this coming year. We've offered a seasonal garden club now that we have a deck outside. We have an outdoor space that we can work with. We have scheduled through our activities coordinator monthly comfort dog visits now that we have our own comfort dog, which has already been to the COA a few times, and it's very well received. I think everyone receives the comfort dog very well, but I think it's very needed for a lot of the seniors, especially those that live alone. It's a nice little connective with the community. So we're looking forward to continuing that. We offer a monthly knitting and crocheting club, which was immediately very well attended. There's a lot of creative seniors and looking for, it's almost more of a social opportunity, but on that basis of that common interest. Our chair yoga expanded into advanced classes, so we have a basic class and now an advanced class that we're offering weekly. And we've added a weekly guided meditation, which is very new, but it's also showing a lot of interest. And the most recent thing we've added is Friday morning shenanigans, which is just a series of interactive games which are very simple but a lot of fun, and it's a lot of laughs, and a lot of the seniors have really taken to that, which is it's nice because it's something we can add whenever we want to add it into the schedule. Looking forward to plans for the future, I'm hoping with some of the reorganization of our spaces that we've already started that will open it up for more and additional programming. We relocated Heidi, our outreach workers, office space. She was split between 2 levels. She was on the 2nd floor, which was not even accessible for the public. It was a very private space for her, but not very practical. She needed to meet with her clients for Shine appointments because she's also our Shine counselor. And even with the seniors she would meet with in her outreach, she needed a private space to meet with them. And we only had a temporary sort of makeshift space in one of our open areas. So the solution was to locate her on the basement level of the COA, which space was available with virtually giving her almost like the 2 office spaces that she was using, but keeping it very confidential and a lot more accessible. It's accessible on the ground level, it's at the back of the building, and it's also much easier for her to get out into the community. When she is out of the office, she's back and forth to the building, so it's really going to make a lot more sense. That actually opened up the temporary office space we were using for her. Now I have another space to actually offer some programming. And right now we've started relocating our computer tables. I'm working with John Neely on looking at how we can update, get new computers. I've already had, with CARES Act funds, iPads that we've had that we're looking to utilize and update and really just expand our technology offering, which we really haven't had the ability to do. So there's this flex space, as I'm referring to, we'll maybe build it into more of a technology media center that can actually offer some programming that can be maybe going along at the same time concurrent with programs that are in other parts of the building. Right now we've been very limited to the space that we have, that I can only do one activity at one time. And in any way to expand our calendar of activities is having the space to do it. And we're not adding anything more to the building itself, so it's really reworking the spaces that we have. I've taken the computer tables out of what we call our library, which has books for loan, moved the space. Our puzzle table that had been in there is also now in this flex space, and I've been able to create a greater opportunity for activities in that space, along with 2 reading nooks that can promote maybe some use in that room as well. So we're looking at how we can use our space and how we can expand the programming with the spaces we have. And the outdoor space now being our deck is looking forward to the warm weather in the spring that we didn't have the opportunity this year because the building of the deck was completed pretty much by the sort of the end of June when it really got, the weather got hot. So we have some opportunity to plan for the activities in the early spring. Some of those can be a garden club, which we've already established, some activities. There's planters, there's actually raised planters that you can sit at and actually garden at, so that will be encouraging for the seniors that we want to look to expand that. We've already held some book club meetings out on the deck in the good weather, music performances, themed luncheons, just social gathering. The seniors have taken advantage in the good weather of just actually meeting out there. And it's really nice because there really is no other outdoor space. So I'm hoping to expand the usage of that. And just basically looking to hopefully expand a greater variety of programming, talking about the health services, but a lot of movement, and sort of exercise programs, things that can, and music. Music is very much of interest as well. So we're hoping to maybe see how we can work with our spaces and really offer even more to the seniors, where we look at it with our capacity as far as we can make it.
Well, it sounds like you've done a good job of expanding the services that you're offering down there. Could you speak about a couple of services that you didn't mention? One is the GATRA buses, and one is the Meals on Wheels program. Are they? Do we have enough GATRA buses, enough services now for the people to call to use those programs?
We're pretty much at capacity. I know our dispatcher is actually in conversation with GATRA as far as availability of newer buses. We did actually get the benefit. We have 4 buses now, which is up. It was somewhat recent. I want to say probably in the last year or 2, the 4th bus was added. But most recently, we were able to trade in one of our 8-passenger buses for a 12-passenger bus. And that helped take some of the pressure off. But our schedule for the bus service is quite full. So where it stands now, I know the dispatcher is in direct contact about what the availability of any additional buses, or maybe trading out another bus for a 12-passenger might be another option. So she is looking into that.
And the question came up previously in another conversation earlier. The GATRA buses just go to adjacent towns, right? They don't go to Boston or anything like that. They just go to towns that connect to Carver.
That is the contract. Each town with their GATRA contract is a little different. We've encountered that by just trying to look for comparable transportation for maybe some of the seniors that attend our COA maybe come from Wareham. Oddly enough, we can transport anyone from Carver to Wareham, but Wareham doesn't offer the service for a Wareham resident to come to Carver. So they clearly have a different contract with GATRA. But as far as beyond our realm, I know there are services that our outreach worker, a lot of seniors have a lot of medical needs that quite often are needed in Boston, or maybe a community that's just beyond our range. And I know Heidi has had some good luck with working with different agencies that can provide that. So she's a great resource for anyone that has that particular need, and we usually contact her when there's a senior that needs that.
And the Meals on Wheels program, do we have adequate staffing there? Is that growing?
It actually is growing. I want to say the service, June does, I want to say probably 45 to 50 meals for just the home delivered meals. And that, and the congregate meals can range anywhere from 12 to 20 meals on a daily basis. So if you put those combined together, it's quite a bit. And as far as delivery goes, it's all volunteer. We have, I want to say, about 6 volunteers. We're condensing the delivery schedule to still get 5 meals out per week, but 2 go out on Tuesdays and 3 go out on Thursdays, just due to the fact that it was really, we were not being able to keep a volunteer, a consistent volunteer basis for delivery for every single day.
So the Meals on Wheels are all volunteer?
All volunteer delivery.
Mr. Cannon, so when we do our employee recognition programs or anything like that, do we do anything for the volunteers that deliver the Meals on Wheels program?
We do not right now.
We should think about putting something together annually or something like that to just thank them for what they do. That's all. I think that would be a good idea.
Old Colony Elder Services had a volunteer recognition program that they had in the past included, unfortunately, with some budget cuts and grants situations, requirements, their RSVP program, which was their major volunteer program, had ended, so that that is something that we no longer have. I personally try to recognize them with gift cards and things like that at the holidays, and usually at least twice a year try to give specific acknowledgement to what they do.
That's important. I've always believed that we should recognize our employees, and we do, and I think we should recognize
The
those volunteers
yes.
as well. I want to open up to the board. Does anyone have any questions?
You mentioned something about computer equipment installation. So you're not asking for it, meaning we have it. You're just trying to find out when they're going to
It's a combination
install
of Both. I've been talking to John Neely about what we can do with the space. We had computers in our library room that had been hand-me-downs, I want to say with upgrades that were made with the school, and we sort of were expecting that taking, whatever maybe was still good and, usable, but I want to say that they were even pre-COVID timeframe and were really not current. John had taken a look at them and not really usable. So we have the computer tables with the hope that I was thinking with the upgrades that have been made that there would be maybe some equipment that we can utilize. So he was looking into that. With the CARES Act fund, I was able to get 10 iPads with the thought process. And we've had some instructional classes, but I'm also trying to look at maybe there's ways not only continuing some instruction, but having the opportunity to expose the technology for seniors to maybe use as a sort of an in-house loan situation where they can spend time, and now we'll have a center where they can be and maybe investigate some apps and games and research things that would be of interest to have that they can use on their own, and just come and actually, just like we read a book in our library space, come to the media center and work on the iPads, and so have that type of thing, really get more use and exposure to them.
Wait.
You hear about so many scams and things targeted at our senior citizens. Do we do any kind of like computer training or scam prevention or things like that?
We actually have had that. We had a retired tech teacher had been part of our educational tech classes. We found that it ended up, because there was such a wide range of interest and need and level of experience, that it ended up being sort of by appointment. We were having a one-on-one, and we were actually working with our iPads with that. We've had some scam programs, but those are always evolving. And most recently, our triad through the Sheriff's Department, along with the DA's office, they hold triad like quarterly programs where they'll come. We've had them come to the COA itself, and they have some events outside that we really encourage the seniors to attend. I know we've actually been in conversation with the police department about coming in with a scam program as well, because it just seems like there's always a new one in that. Yeah.
Through you, I did see one of the COAs closer towards Weymouth, Rockland, Quincy. I can't remember which. Those are 3 big COAs, and they just did one of those scam programs.
Yeah. And they're always, and it's always there's always a senior that will say that that they have had some sort of interaction with when they come up with this. So it's very, and they're unfortunately the target, most likely to be the ones that they go after. So it's always to be on top, and knowing what the latest ones are is important.
Sure is. Anybody else have anything?
I had one more question. Do we still have the My Senior, My Life kiosks?
Yeah. My senior center. That's the statistics that I read off were the gathered from that data retrieval.
And do you have the type of program where people can advertise on your kiosk and you get some revenue?
We don't get it directly. Part of the installation, the agreement was you get a discounted installation if you allow the advertising to go on it. In fact, I didn't mention one of the reasons I think are additionally, not only to our activities coordinator being able to greet people as they come in, our Friends group actually purchased a second kiosk right at that entry. So we had the one and only check-in down in the nutrition center, which is where everyone usually ends up, but not always. For example, our wellness clinic that happens weekly, a lot of individuals will come just for the wellness and then leave, and they never made it down to the nutrition center to check in, so we never got that statistic officially. We also now have our activities coordinator, Alice, is the gatekeeper. She sees them come in and she makes sure they check in. So she catches them, and then if they don't have a key tag, that's how she gets them registered as well. But so we're finding that that's actually working very well, that people are seeing it right away, they're checking in right away, and our numbers, I think, are reflecting some of that increase as well.
Great. Anything else? Mr. Cannon, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Thanks very much for coming in.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Have a great night.
You as well.
Next up is our Recreation Department. Thank you as well for coming in this evening.
No problem. I'm Emily Slavin, a part-time recreation coordinator here. I work with the committee. Unfortunately, the chairman, Mary Ross, is working the polls, so that's why she's not here. So the committee and myself went through what we had going on for the year and kind of put down some numbers. I'll just go through them quickly. Our software runs about $4,000 a year. That's used where everybody signs up in one centralized location. It's great because we can see how many people have signed up. We can run reports, so forth. It's a really good program. Most towns use the same thing called MyRec. Our porta potties run a large portion of our budget. We are currently at about 12,000, and we would like to add one at the pickleball courts, so we would be up to about 15,000 of our budget just on porta potties. We keep them at the elementary school, Pond Street fields, Purchase Street fields, and then the pickleball was our next year. They also have them at the ponds through the OM department, but it's still kind of a walk from pickleball, so we have to kind of figure that out. Some of the things we have been doing, we did at the pickleball, we were able to buy, the committee was able to buy the benches and picnic tables that came from the committee. That was a big chunk this year. Our ice skating rink, we had to replace the lights this year. They did not last as long as we thought they would, so we are on to a different company. And we also did have to replace last year the rink liner. It was the coldest year, and unfortunately we just didn't get the use out of it. I think when someone shoveled it, they were shoveling the edge and there was just too much of a break. So we did replace that, and we're excited to set it up the 1st of December. So let's hope for some skating this year. And we also are doing some maintenance at the playground. We're looking into putting a sealer on the rubber surface because that 5 years is up, that it was under contract. So they have to come out and do some replacement that they owe us, even though that 5 years is up. Mary stays right on them. And we're going to put a sealer on it to help get longevity out of the surface. We also, replace our sand toys, and we are getting a mat to put under the Rev 8. It's the kind of the one, the run, because that area is getting really dug up. So we're looking for a mat for there. We have to replace this year all the picnic tables and chairs that we purchased, like the Adirondack chairs and the picnic tables. They were just pressure treated wood, and they need to be replaced. We're looking into getting like the more durable ones that last longer this time. If that's in our budget too, that's what we're kind of looking at. We have pickleball, some expenses, little things that we've added, squeegees and things like that. We are going to be taking down the nets and locking that area so it does not get vandalized at all. We still would love cameras down there, but that's on the to-do list, right? And then we have our free events. So we do Carver Night Out, we do an Easter egg hunt, a winter event. And this year we added 2 dates of music in the park. And we did get a grant from the Carver Cultural Council for one of those, and recreation paid for the other. Our goal is to do 3 next year. And we know that Old Home Day will be a big one this year, so that will actually be an added night for music in the park there. So we would have 4 total for the summer. So that's great, I think, for this town. It was very well received. We have a great volunteer who works in the music and loves it, and he did a lot of the legwork for us and got the bands and worked with them. So thank you to Adam for that. So then we just have some recreation supplies for a small number. And then we have our kayaks at the ponds. We kind of have decided it's about $2,000 a year. We had a 5-year plan for that. Hopefully we can keep it longer, but that's about $2,000 a year. That is a rental. We do not make that money back. Unfortunately, it's not rented that much, but I do think it's really great we do hear a lot of great things about being able to rent them and not having to have a car, that you can bring a kayak. We do have a tandem and singles down there. And that company's been great to work with. They do all their maintenance if we call them. They run reports for us. They've been really good to work with, so.
I think it's been a great addition down there.
Thank you, yeah. So we also run, this year, a lot of summer programs. I think we ran over almost 20 summer programs. They were all really well attended. They're self-sufficient. They run themselves, meaning that we hire somebody and we make enough to cover that person. So, I mean, there's some that we might lose on, but I think it all evens out at the end, and we reevaluate which ones did well, didn't do well, what should we change for the following year. We try to get all age groups from everywhere from kindergarten all the way up until our middle schoolers. Sometimes the middle school stuff is not as well attended, but we think it's so important to offer at that age for the summer. Other than that, so it did come over, if we add all those things up, it did come over our budget a little bit. We understand that our budget might not go up. We do try to make some, you know, when we run those programs, we add a $5 little fee for recreation so that we can buy equipment or things that we need. So we do know that it might not go up, but this is what it adds up to. It's a difference of about $6,500. So from where we are at the budget now, not including my salary, this is just the budget piece.
Great.
That's
Any
recreation.
questions from the board?
Pretty good for a volunteer committee and
Absolutely.
a part-time person.
Yep. Question.
Yes.
Does the COA have cameras?
I don't believe they do. In fact, that's something I've thought.
We
that
would
they should
really
have
love
outside.
to go work with them.
Yeah, yeah, she's not here.
I thought they did have a camera outside that may see the pickleball. Well, I'll have to check.
Yeah,
John,
Yeah.
you could check in that.
Yeah,
I know
okay.
that's something we discussed at some point. I think they
Yeah,
should
we
have
talked about having cameras inside. We
cameras out
actually,
there.
we're trying to develop a budget. Senator Kelly Dooner had, told us we could put in a request for that.
Yeah, I actually had asked her
Yeah.
about that, because I think, security-wise, as well as health-wise, someone could slip and fall. So it's-
Yeah.
Especially with that deck mat.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree, and that could certainly tie in with
It
the
could tie
pickleball
in,
court.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know that John was looking at it for us and figuring out the price and what we could afford, but I do think it's really important. A lot of money was put down there, and I think it's important to have it on camera. I will tell you, the porta potties that are on cameras do not get tipped over. The ones that are not do, and you pay a fee for that. So
sure you do.
I think it is important. The other thing I just want to add is we are really working with the baseball league they need some maintenance, so they're looking to put a little money in, maybe we put a little money in. We're looking to redo, with Dave and OM, we're looking to redo the softball field out behind here, the front one. We had some injuries this year
Yeah,
due
I
to
think-
that.
I think, it seems to me there was a town meeting article that we discussed earlier in the year that had some remaining funds
Yeah.
for some of the.
There
some of
was
the
in
fields.
O&M.
So we should
Yes.
look into that and see where
Yeah,
that.
I think Dave's investigated that, and he's met with Mary, and he's looking at pricing and contractors now, but there was some injuries there, a pretty big significant injury, so we want to make sure that's fixed. We've let the men's and women's softball know that's who uses that field, that it might be shut down for part of the spring until we can get that fixed. Recreation does a lot to maintain the things in town. I think we really, as a committee, and Jackie's on the committee, we feel it's so important to maintain what we have. That's a tough thing sometimes to do, but we feel like it's really important to maintain. So we go back and look at all of the projects that we have done and how do you maintain them. And then we did put in for a capital outlay for, there is a basketball court that's previously out there, out near the playground. We have had several people come to the committee and ask us if we can do something with that. There is only one outside basketball court in Carver, and it's at the high school. And, two, one at elementary and one at the high school, but a lot of them are at the playground and would like to utilize that. So we have gone and found out just to repair it, not redo it, repair it is about $30,000 to only do one court. But clean up that area, make the fencing correct. It's a safety zone right now. Like, there's a lot of issues out there for safety, I believe. So if we could at least do one court, that would be huge for us. We had these wonderful kids come in and did a project at school and, asking how they could help. So I just think it's important to add to that great area out back.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that would be a great project. And I don't know if there's anything Old Colony perhaps could do to help with that project, but worth looking into.
Yeah.
Anyone else? No? All right, we're good.
I do
Thank
want
you
to
very much.
clarify,
Yes.
is that basketball the same that operations had basketball and tennis? It's separate? I'm not sure
I
if
think
it's the
that
same
basketball
ones.
and tennis were
At the high school only?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Thanks very
Thank
much
you.
for coming in. Thank you. All right, next is our treasurer collector. Thanks for coming in this evening.
Hi, Kathy Kay, Treasurer Collector. Pretty much fiscal '27 is level funded for the budget, incorporating a bit of cost of living increase, of course, for the postage, which is always continually going up, and we do have a lot of postage out of our office. I do have one request to upgrade the payroll benefits position in her grade. I did a survey of the local towns, the area towns, to see what the rates were, and in comparison, our wage is fairly low compared to what's going on around. Many of the towns have actually two different positions, one payroll, one benefits position, so they've really got double salaries, and ours is all in one. And our Trish Fuller, who's our current payroll benefits position, she came in with a lot of experience. She's very experienced. She knows both the benefits and the payroll aspect. She's been very good and thorough about auditing and cross-checking everything, and I would like to keep her. We've had a lot of turnover in the payroll position recently, and so right now that position is at a grade G. So for fiscal '27, her hourly rate would be it would be $29.15 an hour, and I'm requesting an upgrade to grade E, step 1. So that would, the average of the other towns that I surveyed, the minimum hourly rate was $34.30. So I would like, if I can get the upgrade to grade E, step 1, that comes in at $32.77 for an hourly rate. So that's really my only increase to my budget request.
All right, are there questions? Okay. Yes, Ms. Yee.
No, I concur about your assessment for your payroll's benefit employee. I mean, she's very well qualified.
Thank you.
And I had no idea most towns have two people do the same job.
It depends, yeah, it depends, but yeah, there are,
Yeah.
it is often split with the benefits and the payroll, yeah.
That's great, thanks.
Yeah.
I just have a question for Glenn. So a few times tonight, we've brought up, positions and they need to be reviewed. Do we have anybody in the town that does a full comp analysis? Like your HR person would do a full comp analysis on all your positions?
Not a full comp analysis, because we just have so many employees, there's so
Yeah.
much enough to do. But we do, we tailor it, certainly for the request, we look at the comps for the towns, because, they are very specific jobs, so we do look at that. And then we do generally do it, as we just went through our contract negotiations, we looked at surrounding police departments, we looked at surrounding DPW facilities, so it's more tailored, but it's not comprehensive town-wide, I can tell you that much.
No, I'm just wondering, because I feel bad that the individual department heads have to go out and do it themselves instead of this being a project we do annually, where maybe every year you look at 2 departments, and the next year a different 2, but somebody does a comp analysis. to
Yeah,
make sure
I would say also too, I know Elaine and myself, we both will go on the MMA website, they list jobs on there, and I would say we're always constantly looking just to see, to make sure we are being competitive. We just had the senior accountant, we want to make sure we're in the range when we hire somebody, so it is almost like a constant struggle.
I guess, even stepping back from just reviewing something online, do you belong to a group where they would survey other towns and they would, everyone puts, this is about my range, and then you kind of look at that analysis they give back?
So we do. So we reach out to the other towns, we share our information. What the problem being is that towns, so many towns have unique roles. It's hard to actually find a position. I'll say benefits coordinator is one I think is very shared from town to town to town. But you'd be shocked at what you think is a normal job for a town, and you go to survey the other towns, and they don't have somebody who quite fits that bill. And I think it's true with a lot of small towns. You know, when you're an employee at a small town, if you're in full-time or part-time, you may wear a lot of different hats. And that's what really distinguishes a lot of these positions.
Anything else? Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next is our Informational Technology Department. Thank you for coming in this evening.
Good evening. John Nealing, IT Manager. So my budget is going to be service level funded. I did not request any capital money this year. I will say that which, you know, if you guys recall when the schools did their presentation tonight, they talked about replacing their network switches over at the schools. Our switches here are also going to need to be replaced, but fiscally, I did not think it was a good idea for the town side to replace all the switches at the same time the school replaced their switches as well. We still have current licensing until 2028, so that's when we'll be looking to go forward with that replacement, just to put that into everybody's head, so that when that does come up, we'll need to do that, and it's going to cost the town approximately $185,000 to do that that replacement. But other than that, like I said, everything is level service funded. When you do get my sheets and you look at the numbers, unfortunately, that still comes up to a 26% increase, and there are a couple reasons for that. One of them is that the town copier lease, which is up next month, was reduced for FY26, and it's going to need to be re-increased for FY25 to cover the costs. But if you do remember that the town-wide lease when it was with the schools was $80,000, and we're looking roughly at $32,000 to $34,000 for that lease. The couple other things that impact this as well is that we're getting a new internet connection, a new network connection, which is going to go into the schools, which was also in last year's budget, but it's actually going to come into play this year, hopefully within the next month or so, to be hooked to the new firewalls. Eventually, that will hopefully be shared with most of the town buildings, so that in that case, what we'll do is we're going to reduce the cost. Right now, every town building has their own internet connection, and they're paying for that. But yet we have a fiber that runs throughout the entire town. So by putting in the new firewalls, bringing in a primary internet connection, we'll be able to reduce the costs from the other departments. We'll take Counseling on Aging has one that's ridiculously high for some reason. We'll be able to eliminate that bill from the Counseling on Aging. The EMS and the town hall is tied to the school's internet connection, which is going to be no longer as of July. We're not going to be running on the school's internet connection. We'll be running on that internet connection. Eventually, the police have an internet connection. We work to replace their internet connection with this primary internet connection, and then we'll work with the fire station, and they actually have 3 different internet connections. But that's that's it. One of the other big increases that I was hit with a month ago was our cybersecurity. Our cybersecurity software went way up. It went from $46 per endpoint to almost $90 per endpoint. I am in process of trying to find something that's less expensive, but we still have to have cybersecurity software, so we're going to have to eat that, and that's for this year that it went up, and that's not in this year's budget at all.
Why do you think that was such an increase?
So the company that we went with is nonprofit, and when they did originally when we moved to them, it was subsidized from Plymouth County. And so Plymouth County paid half of it, and that was at approximately, like I said, $46 per endpoint. They paid half of it. I budgeted for $46 per endpoint, and they came back to me this year and said, we made a mistake. We didn't price it correctly. We have to go up. So, like I said, at this point, our hands are tied. I'm trying to, I am trying to find another vendor for this. To be honest with you, the price they're giving us is still good. It's still a good price because they are nonprofit in the services that they do give us. So they watch everything that comes through, and it's, so they have people that are actually monitoring all of our security. So if there's something that hits, they're gonna see it right away. They're gonna notify me, and then we're gonna take action if action needs to be.
Well, I mean, there have been towns that have had cybersecurity problems, so it's
and the most recent one, within the last 2 months is Plymouth. Plymouth is, and they're still in it, as far as from what I understand. Yeah. That's all I have. Is there any questions?
The questions from Mr. Neely?
You said it's sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, you go first.
Just confirming a 26% increase from last year?
Yeah. So that is, like I said, 37% of that is the copiers, and 27% of that is the software, computer software. So that also includes our SoftWrite licensing and our VADAR licensing, which we have increased the licenses, the number of licenses in VADAR. So every time we add somebody, that adds another, another cost to that. But I will also say that my FY26 budget for this particular line item for computer software and subscriptions was a mistake in the beginning, and it wasn't. So that's why it looks like it's so far off. It's not. If it was funded the way it should have been, it wouldn't show 26%.
So what would it show?
The percentage-wise, I didn't actually do the calculation. But I can tell you that it was, so in 25, it was 185, 123. And that's what that line item was done. It was just carried over from 25 to 26, and it should have been 206, 402.
Oh, okay.
So that's why that's why it seems like there's more of an increase. And in FY27, it goes to 235, 438.
Just one more quick thing. I just want to say how much I appreciate your department. I used to be an employee here, and I worked here for a long time, and we never had any of this. I mean, we had whatever the school had, and I think we were just lucky nothing bad happened. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? We're good? Thank you, Mr. Neely.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is our accounting department. And then, Mr. Cannon, after this, everything is yours, right?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I just wanted to thank the Select Board, the Finance Committee, and the Capital Committee for their support for my department over the last year and a half that I've been here. My budget this year is level funded. I don't have any increases. I was able to save. We hired the senior accountant position. We originally had a budget for 95. We hired her at step 1, so there was a 10,000 savings in our salary budget. Her name is Jasmine Benfado. She's a graduate from Southern New Hampshire University with her bachelor's degree in accounting, and she has 3 years local government experience, having worked in Acushnet in the treasurer's office. So she's been here for 3 weeks. She's definitely an asset to the department. She's, she kind of came in running and willing to learn, and she's definitely is going to be strengthening our town's financial operations. This position is going to help us improve compliance and support a lot of the operational goals that I have for the department. So I thank you for the support, and our budget is level funded. We have the clerical union increases for the staff in my department.
All right. Are there questions for Ms. Praval?
You said level funded, but is it more level service, or you're not spending one more nickel than you did last year?
We're not spending one more nickel. We had additional money in savings in the senior accountant position, so we were able to save in that. And then in our operating budget, I reduced some of the expenses in our, in our other professional services due to the fact that we won't need to outsource some of the work that have been outsourced to help the town in this.
So one of the things we talked about way back when with a lot of departments is succession planning. You know, what happens, God forbid, you hit the lottery, you leave, whatever could happen. This person is the one that would basically get you through if you're on vacation, or if you took this someplace else. This is the person you would groom to be the next finance director.
So in this particular position, this person is working on a lot of accounting, the accounting aspects of the department. So they'll be working on the balance sheet. They're currently, learning everything, in terms of our tax recap, working on our Schedule A, a lot of the reporting that is sent to the Department of Revenue. In this position, the senior accountant, my job is both the finance director and the town accountant. So there's, separation within those particular duties that would have to be learned. We also have an assistant town accountant in our office as well that works on a lot of accounts payable and different receivables. So as with these two positions, and we have another assistant finance assistant in our department that works on, so I'm looking at having a lot of the duties spread out within my department. But this person would have a better understanding of the role of the town accountant in my absence, and probably would be able to fill in doing different tasks.
Now, I'm just saying it's happened in the past. We would call with questions, let's say the finance director was on vacation, and we're told we have to wait till you come back. And I'm just saying that's something that shouldn't happen now, right?
That's correct. So we have a lot of cross-training in our department, so anyone in the department that's out will be trained to cover for anyone else in the department.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Cannon, anything to add?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. And Mr. Cannon, you're handling the rest of these departments, right?
Yes, I am.
So we
A
can
few
go back to
department
planning
heads
and
were not
move forward.
available. So yes, I'll do my very best to answer all your questions and kind of give you a
All right.
high-level overview.
And if we need some additional information, we'll just get it for an upcoming meeting.
Correct, certainly actually questions, I'll get the answers for you too.
Okay.
Again, if I can't answer it tonight. So on the planning department, again, kind of straightforward, on the services. Salary increase in line with the other town staff, approximately around that 4%, 2% step and a 2% COLA. Really no significant increases, even though we are seeing increases across the board on expenses. But it's the typical tone of paper. Even some inspection, some services for their vehicles, very small though, but the vehicle's fairly new, but still they have to do inspections, replace a tire or something of that nature. And then no capital requests in the planning department. So no significant changes there at all.
Okay.
On the North Carver Water District budget, there are large increases here. One of the things they're looking to do is they are looking to purchase the actual water meters that are on the houses and installing those meters. We are still having trouble reading some of those meters. If you're familiar with the modern meters, you generally can read them from the street, with a device. Some of our meters, the tech still has to get out of the car, go up to the house, read the meter, and get back in. It slows down the process. Also, some of those meters just aren't as accurate as we want them to be. So that's a large increase now. The North Carver Water District is an enterprise fund. That's built within their budget. I'd call it more of a capital project if it becomes a town department.
It seems like that's something I showed before.
Correct.
Capital, and of course, we don't know where the whole home rule petition is at the legislature, right? And I don't know if that would affect that or not. Obviously, we still need water meters.
Correct.
But I don't know, depending on, right now we're on Middleborough water, would the water meters we use change if we weren't on Middleborough water? I don't know that either.
I believe they are the same meters.
Okay.
In fact, I know we've even had some discussions with Middleborough helping us purchase some of the meters.
Okay.
I think they get a little better price. They purchase a larger volume.
I think clearly that's something that they would have to go through capital outlay to discuss.
Another,
Do we have a dollar amount for that?
I don't have it, well, off the top of my head, I do want to say $40,000. And I'll double check that for you, Mr. Harden.
And for you, is that for commercial and residential?
I
Or
believe it
just
is.
residential?
I believe it is both commercial and residential. Another item that they have identified, which again I would list as a capital item, these are the water filters that they have for the wells. This is a major expense of approximately $250,000 for these.
These are the water filters that we just purchased a few years ago.
Correct, they are. Yeah. One of the things that I tell you, if the town does take it over, is to do an assessment from an engineering firm before we go out and spend money on, $250,000 on water filters. Well, no, we have to make a decision about what we're going to do with the facility itself.
Well, and as I recall, and some other board members may recall this as well, there was quite a waiting time to get those filters. It wasn't just something you could purchase. You had to go and get them. It took quite a while. Ms. Ewens?
That's because my understanding was they were supposed to be purchased every 10 years,
Yes,
and
right.
they waited till they were 12 years old. This is a very older
Right, but I
board.
think once we did, even once we authorized the money,
Yeah.
I think there was still a waiting period.
Right, that's why you should like ask 2 years in advance.
Yeah, you want to look too. I certainly know a lot of that happened in the COVID years, where a lot of people were waiting for materials. I don't know if it was.
And again, that's another capital outlay item, I think.
And through you said the assessment, is that also something you would plan to put through capital?
For these,
For the engineering study, for the assessment?
well, they have hired an engineering firm, so I don't know if we need to bring that to capital. But
Sometimes, I know, but we have put some other ones that we thought.
Feasibility.
Yeah, like a feasibility
feasibility study.
study or, because it is a capital item that we're looking at.
Yeah.
I don't know, just
You
asking.
want to do that? I think that's a discussion that we can have, because again, in reality, it almost is a feasibility study. Feasibility, whether or not the facility is feasible, right? Whether or not
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
usable, and it's a cost analysis, there's a lot that has to go into it. So I think that is a discussion we will need to have.
Okay, well, we may need to make a separate agenda item
Yeah.
just for this, but Mr. Carter.
So just question, are we talking about the filters or the membranes? Those are the membranes.
I'm sorry, I believe these are the membranes. He lists them as a filter, but I believe they are the membranes.
You're right, it was the
Yeah,
membrane.
the correct terminology, I believe.
He's right.
Yeah.
The last thing that I have here is, and one thing I know they are working on, they have just raised the rates. And this is a very important item. From my experience, I think we probably need to walk in and do a rate analysis to make sure that what we're charging the residents at least offsets what we're paying to the town of Middleborough. So we have to, that's something we have to look at. This is where you get into trouble with these smallest, facilities where, is it 135 customers? Really, it's not an awful lot. So, are the rates appropriate? Are we charging them too much, too little? So that's one of the things that I think also we have to look at. And again, I do know we are still working, about dissolving the North Carver Water District. It is still moving through the system. I did get correspondence today from Senator Duna's office. Senate Council is looking at the wording right now, the language that we put forward. That's a very good sign. That usually means it's gone through the committee process. So Senate Council only gets these things when they are serious about moving them forward and finalizing that. So hopefully that'll move a little bit faster. Coming down. That's all I have in the North Carver Water District, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Pat, Mr. Carter.
I'd just like to know, with we've got so much important going on with the North Carver Water District, how come one of them wasn't here tonight?
Good question.
We did ask the chair a couple of weeks ago if he could attend. Said he was not available. He indicated there were no members who could attend tonight.
Or couldn't attend or didn't want to attend?
No call.
Okay, just thought I'd ask.
But again, I think this is something for future agenda items, because again, as we take this over, it becomes more and more of a town department. I do think there are a lot of savings there, things that they're doing right now for maintenance, we can be doing through the O&M staff, just like we did before.
Well, we did that before.
Correct.
Yeah,
So
and
I do think there's an avenue there for savings.
it's important that we coordinate all those activities, so
Correct.
we can do everything
Correct.
we can.
Great. We have a distribution system operator and a facilities operator for the town services, the town hall, the two schools. they're hiring their own individual. I think there's a savings there if we bring all those together under one contract. So I think there is an opportunity to do some savings.
I just have a quick question. Why are they hiring people when the town voted to dissolve the district?
We have had discussions with the chairman about that and trying to,
That's probably off topic.
discuss with him, the importance of us taking it over and him really not locking the town into contracts.
Because, I mean, it was a town meeting, it was the voters of the town that voted to dissolve the district.
Yes, and we have had those discussions.
Okay.
And again, we may need a separate agenda item to address this whole North Carver water issue.
Again,
Okay. Mr. Maher.
The fact of the autonomy of this group is just mind-boggling. That they can
Mr.
be-
Maher, if you could just make sure you use the microphone.
I'm just saying the fact that this group is autonomous from this group
Yeah.
is just mind-boggling that they can have a budget. They can do whatever they want with it. They can hire. They can purchase whatever they want. They don't have to show up to this meeting. And I'm just having a hard time with that, a really hard time. And this dissolution can't come fast enough.
Okay. Anything else on the North Carver water district?
That's all I have.
Okay. Anyone else? Everyone good?
Can I
Yes,
just
Ms.
ask,
Sandra.
what is the net total that they need for next year? Do you have an idea?
They did put in a budget of $1.3 million.
Thank you.
That's increase over.
Oh, it was at 650,000.
It's about double.
So it's double.
Almost double.
No.
Double.
Okay. Well, we got a whole bunch here in emergency management,
Yes.
town clerk, elections, select board, and town administrator, so.
Mr. Walsh was not available tonight. Wishes he could be, but he unavailable. Again, another department, smaller in scale here. No significant changes in their budget. All either wage step increases or cost of living increases. So that's on the salary side, just like all the other town staff. No capital requests. It is kind of a department I put almost as down as like the insurance policy. If we don't need it, it's really great. But if we do need it, they're there and they're ready to help us. So I know the other chiefs really support this program. It's a good program for the town to be ready for all kinds of events. So.
And they do a great job. I've been down there during blizzards and getting ready for hurricanes and things like that. And it's one of those departments that you don't need every day, but when you need them, you're really happy that they're there.
Correct.
I agree.
And so it's important. And one thing we should do later on in the year, one meeting when we have a relatively slow agenda, is we should schedule an earlier time and have the board go down and really take a look at what they've done down there. Because we spent a lot of ARPA money on that department. They really, I don't know if everyone's been down there, but they've done a tremendous job upgrading that department so it's ready in case we need them. And I think it would be good for the board to see all that at the same time.
I do know the director and the staff are ready for that. We had a meeting with the IT director, just getting everything, all the bugs worked out, if you will. A lot of equipment down there. Of course, all the equipment wasn't talking to each other. It's all electronic these days.
I know there was a lot of fine things that need to be worked out, but once I think they've pretty much done that.
I think they are too
So
now.
we should get everybody down. And
So can we
take
do a
look.
mock drill to make sure it works the way it's supposed to work?
I know we talked about having an open house. We could talk to them about a mock drill too, though.
Yeah.
I think they've done that before. Right?
Mr. Walsh loves we used to do them all the time.
Yeah, we
Oh,
should
yeah.
for the nuclear power
Oh, yeah.
program.
We just,
There is like a requirement per town, it's either 2 or 4 tabletops a year.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm sure he's involved in those.
Yeah.
You would break out your walkie-talkies.
I'm
and-
sure he is, yeah.
Especially with the hospital right there, I'm sure they.
The hospital.
Let's talk to Mr. Walsh about it.
Yes. So,
set
some
something
of
up.
that may have gone down in number simply because they got rid of Pilgrim Nuclear Plant, but I don't know.
I do believe some of the requirements have gone away.
But it's a good idea.
Okay. As far as the town clerk, I know she has a number of elections next year. It's a very busy election year.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. So again, she apologizes for not being here. She was at the election tonight, overseeing that. So that's high priority. So excuse me. Again, salary increases consistent with the other town staff. Approximately that 4%, 2% step, and then a 2% COLA. They do have 3 elections for next year in fiscal year 27. They're going up from 1 election. I don't have.
If she has any capital requests, we could have her come in and talk to her particular requests.
I don't have the overall percentage. It is an increase. I can tell you, the percentage-wise, it's a large increase. Dollar-wise, it's not. They do a great job of managing the staff that they have and the volunteers. Again, Mr. Chairman, like you were talking about, the volunteers that come forward and help them. Even though they're going from 1 election to 3 elections, it isn't a 300% increase.
Obviously, she couldn't come in tonight, but I think at a future agenda, it would be a good idea to put her on the agenda and have her come in and talk about what her department's needs are.
Sure.
And then finally, select board.
Yeah. So again, salary increases outlined in contracts, and then in line with other town staff. 2% step increase, 2% COLA. We are asking for an increase in the legal budget. I think that happened last year. We were over budget, so we did put in a 25% increase in the legal budget. We do have 2 legal firms. They both went up their hourly rate this past year, so we'll talk about that.
Like inflation, like everything else.
It is, and I know I unfortunately talked to a lot of legal firms. They are constantly searching. It is more and more prevalent to find good help, and they have to be competitive. Is what it comes down to. And we need these. I sat in on if you will, a trial this past week involving the town. And as I want to be careful here with my wording, but that trial will be resolved, hopefully, in an expedited manner. But we still are paying legal counsel to attend that trial on our behalf, and we need to. I mean, no one has that expertise here. Regardless of the merits.
When you need them, you need them. You wish you didn't need them?
Correct. You wish you didn't, but you do. The only other thing I'd say, and right now, I will put in a capital request, and we may pull this back, but the financial software transition funding, Karen's still here, we haven't really sat down and come up with a number for this one yet, but we have talked about that. I know we've talked about the select board meetings. So that might be a capital request that we're bringing forward. And again, I'll flush that out more and get a better number for us, certainly as we move through the process. And that?
All right, well, that pretty much concludes. Does anyone have any questions on any of the items the town administrator discussed? Well, that pretty much concludes the budget portion of our meeting. So before we continue with a couple of small items, I'll give the other boards a chance to adjourn if they'd like.
I'll take a motion if anyone wants to make one to adjourn capital outlay.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Okay, motion made, second to adjourn capital outlay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
The ayes have it. It is 8:46.
Good night, folks. Thank you. Mr. Maher?
Motion to adjourn the FinCom meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, we're adjourned at 8:47.
All right. Good night, folks. Thanks for coming in this evening.
Thanks, take care.
Town administrator update.
I will be quick, Mr. Chairman, I assure you of that. One thing I do want to congratulate, though, Glenda Harriman over at the Carver Fire Dispatch. She has 20 years of service. I always find that to be quite an accomplishment, so I do want to congratulate her on that. And then the last thing I have, Mr. Chairman, I did get an announcement about a Christmas event coming up. And I don't know about you, but I just can't believe how fast that came up on me, and it is almost December. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you. Select board announcements. Mr. Cotter?
I guess staying on the Christmas theme, just want to remind everyone that Saturday, November 29th, is the Deck the Halls at Edaville. It says, as a special thanks to our neighbors, as a token of our appreciation, all Carver residents are invited to enjoy a free general admission to the festival Saturday, November 29th.
All right. Mr. Ryan?
Just wish everyone a good Thanksgiving, since we won't see it till, we'll be back here in December, so happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Ms. Ewing?
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everyone to please remember Shane Gives Thanks, and they always need donations, particularly this time of year. And veterans have some special days down there when they can come in particular, but it is for everyone in need, and I know there's not a lot of need right now. So, thank you.
Mr. Hoffman?
I also want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and reminder of the parade this Saturday. Hopefully the weather will cooperate for us all.
It will.
In Carver? So the parade's in Plymouth?
There's a parade in Plymouth, yeah.
Yes, just want to remind everybody about the Thanksgiving Day Parade in Plymouth on Saturday. Thank you.
All right. All right. And I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving as well. I hope you all have a lot to be thankful for. Our next meetings, we have a number on I asked them to list all the meetings because we have so many coming up. We have meetings on December 4th, 2nd, 4th, 10th, and 16th. But the one meeting I don't see on this list, Mr. Cannon, is the 5th, which was supposed to be our poll hearing meeting.
No, the 4th.
Is that
Fourth
is that
is
the
the
4th?
4th, yes, that's a special meeting just
That's
for
the
the
Even better. And have we gotten everything we need from Eversource for the poll hearing?
No.
No? I see. Okay. And what is the deadline to go forward with that meeting or not?
Thursday.
This
Thursday.
Okay.
We will.
All right, so you can update us whether we get everything we need or not.
I will put in a phone call to him tomorrow, we'll have a discussion.
Thank you.
I assure you.
Very much. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.